Are we on? Are we on? Looks like we're not on yet. All right, now it looks like we're on. Test. Welcome. Good day, good all. Let's see, let's get all this adjusted. Hope y'all had a good week 9 of football. Hopefully y'all won. Let's see. Just the camera. We'll get started in a bit. Hope y'all are doing well. Much celebrations to everybody. We have the Raiders taking on the Broncos. Raider Nation, can we compete? Tough chance. But we shall see. We shall get started in a bit. Hopefully, share much love to y'all. Share much love to everybody. Let's get this going. Gonna get everything set up right now. So drop any questions, comments in the chat. Raiders versus Broncos today. Broncos favored by like 10 points. This is supposed to be a tough one. It is looking like a tough one slated for my Raiders. It looks like it's going to be a tough one for the Raiders. But let's see. Let's get all this set up. Drop any questions in the chat. Any comments, questions. Hopefully you guys all won. Hopefully y'all still got a shot at playoffs. Got some new things today. Got some new features for the show today. So I'm very excited to go over all of that. Very excited for the new features coming out today. Much love to everybody out there. Hopefully y'all did well. Hopefully y'all did well for the week. Let's get all this started. All right, gotta put this guy in a timeout. Drop any questions in the chat as we get everything started. All right, looks like this should all be set up, so let me know if anything is off, but hopefully y'all had a good week 9, or at least better than me. Hopefully y'all won. We got a good game, Raiders versus Broncos today. Representing the Raiders. All right, let's go. Let's take down the Broncos. Let's take down the Broncos. All right, so the game tonight, people can ask to start sits if needed, but game should probably be pretty straightforward. Should be pretty straightforward on things. And as we get started, this is gonna be a 10-point spread, so it's a big spread on this game. It's a big spread. So let me see something here. Before we start the commentary, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. Getting everything set up, getting everything ready to go. Getting everything ready to go. Alex, good day. How are you? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, Alex. What's the highlight? So your team for this week, Drake May, James Cook, Judkins, JSN, Ibuka, McBride, Rome, bench. I think that means you're playing Rome in the flex, I would assume. And then on your bench, you have JCM, Henderson, Caleb Williams, Jennings, Woody, and Wandale. You're 6-3. Nice. Nice. You're on track for the playoffs. What do I think? I think everybody on there on your team is very, very solid. The only thing I could say is if that is Rome Odunze in your flex, it says like Rome Ben, so I assume that was supposed to be Rome's and then a bench spot. I would say is Wandale Robinson is an intriguing flex play for maybe a safer floor than Rome Odunze, but maybe not as high of upside. You were thinking to flex Wandale too? Yeah. I Rome, it kind of depends on what you need for your matchup, right? It kind of depends on what you need. You're 6-3, so it sounds like you're winning, more than your matchups of not. Based on your roster, it looks like you should be projected to win. I could be wrong there. But Wandale is appealing in the sense that, well, they're in the same game if that's Rome Odunze, right? Giants versus Bears. You would imagine the Bears are going to be leading this game. Of course, anything is possible. So that's why Wandale's appealing because, he's been getting so many targets, so many receptions. Bears defense is nothing good. And Rome Odunze, 3 out of 4 weeks bad, right? So it is a coin flip if he's going to get you, like 15 to 20 points or 0 to 5. Like those are outcomes both possible for Rome, right? So, projected to win, I could see wanting to take Wandale, right, for a safer floor. If we look at Wandale's what's it called? Uh like past performances, right? Um his most recent uh performances in games, we got 9 receptions, 3 receptions, 6 receptions, right? 6 receptions. So yeah, 3 receptions is low against a good Philly defense. Chicago's defense, nothing to write home about, right? So I think, I could see an appeal of a floor there. I do think they're going to try to go back to Romo Dimze just because. Let me know if if lagging. All right. It's telling me I'm lagging, so let me know if I'm lagging. But essentially, I just try to fix it. Essentially, Alex, right? Uh, either or is fine. Um, I was burned by Rome last week, so as an emotional decision, I think Wandale has a safer floor. So if you're projected to win by like 20, 10, you're projected to win by a solid amount, you could go with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. The Bears are averaging, something like over 10 points to at least 2 wide receivers a game or some stat like that, where it's like, pretty much every target a wide receiver is getting like two PPR fantasy points. So they're basically giving up like 10 yards, big plays essentially. So I'm slightly leaning towards Wandale in terms of safety, right? Um the game, if needed, you could always make the decision last minute if you feel that all of a sudden, things change and you need the high ceiling for Rome. Of course, knowing this means that it is lagging a bit. Knowing this means that you might end up with points with Rome on the bench, which if you win is livable, right? But I think that's a fine play to if you want to flex Wandale for a safe floor. Um, only reason is if you're trying to chase like a bye week, or extra points is how I do Rome. I hope that helps. Let me know if that makes sense or not. Drop a like if you can, or any other question to Alex, but hopefully that helps you. Um, hopefully that helps you. Let me know if not. The Three Walketeers, good day. How are you? Bo Nix or Caleb Williams? Oh, those are both very fine plays, I would say. Um, I would say both of those. You're welcome, Alex. Much appreciated. Much love to you. If you got a second and you could drop a like, much appreciated. If not, no worries. But best celebrations to your team. All right, the Three Walketeers. I think Bo Nix and Caleb are both fine plays, right? Bo Nix playing my Raiders tonight. Nothing scary, right? Nothing scary to write home. Should be able to walk away with a solid performance. And then Caleb is playing the Giants, who as well, very good matchup, right? And uh I guess here's the pros and cons of each matchup, I would say, right? Is, you know, for the quarterback to score and the team to not run, the other team has to somewhat score, right? Or keep up. The question is do you believe in the Raiders or the Giants to keep it a more competitive game so that throwing is more of a necessity, right? Um, so I think, uh, you know, Bo Nix is probably, I don't know if the safer play is the right word, but Caleb's had some games where the game scripts, and in addition to how they were playing, it didn't work out for a good fantasy game, even though they won, right? Um, and so I don't know if necessarily saying the floor is safer because Bo Nix did have a bad game too, but I foresee that being a reasonable assumption is that Bo Nix kind of just feels like an overall uh safer play. You can chase the number one week, right, of Caleb if you really want upside and points. I know Bo Nix had upside against that Giants, but that all came in one quarter, right? Um, so I would say most situations I'm playing Bo Nix in this situation, even though the Raiders are my team. He's in my spotlight tonight just because I'm playing against him too. I think he's gonna have a good game. Most quarterbacks have a good game against the Raiders. Um, Caleb is more of like, you know, I'm playing from behind and I'm just really hoping to chase those, another 30 plus point game. But hopefully that helps. They're both fine plays, right? They're both good plays. So go with your gut. That's just my analysis on things. But if you have a gut feeling on somebody, then go with it. You have DJ Moore too. You don't know if that stack changes anything. Are you playing DJ Moore or are you not? So here's my thought with the DJ Moore, the Three Walketeers, is like, you know, chasing the points. He's been doing good, but I'm not excited for him as a stack, if that makes sense, right? Like you look at certain players, like maybe like Baker Mayfield and Abuka. That's an exciting stack to have, right? Um, or back in the day, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You're excited to play these two players together. DJ Moore to me is not an exciting stack, and the reason I bring that up, right, is um like if you don't have to play him. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get this. Oh yes, he's playing. Okay, so since you're playing him, then what that would change for me is, because that game is projected to go well, right? In terms of like the Giants defense is not good. They should be winning, and we have seen um what's it called? Games where the Bears don't keep throwing it. I think it's putting a lot of eggs in one basket for a stack that we're not super confident in, right? So, as a risk mitigation factor, I would break that stack up, right? If uh if it wasn't something I'm excited for. Like if you personally believe that, DJ Moore is going to catch a touchdown against the Giants, or that this stack is going to work, then go ahead. I'm looking at it more of an angle of risk mitigation, in the sense that, there have been games where both DJ Moore has had bad points and Caleb Williams hasn't had that well, and the team can still score or win, right? So in that case, then I would play Bo Nix and DJ Moore to separate that variability, because it's not like you're downgrading to somebody you're scared to play, right? Bo Nix against the Raiders should theoretically be a very good play. You're thinking along the same things. Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking along the same things, then I don't see any harm playing him tonight. Bo Nix. All signs look like, he should have a competitive score. So hopefully that helped you. Drop a like if you can. Much love or appreciated. Drop any other questions you got. Much love to you guys. If you could drop a like, would really help. Let's get some great people in this community all watching together, and hopefully that helped you, the three Walketeers. But much love to you. Dallas Lamb, how are you? Okay, you got Sutton and Nico, and you're thinking about benching Nico. Okay. You're thinking about benching Nico for Sutton. I could see that, since Davis Mills will be the quarterback. Yeah. So, okay. In this case, I can agree with you, Dallas. I definitely um, can agree with you here. Nico Collins, in a year over year, basis, one of the best wide receivers in the game, right? It's just this year, it's not like anything has super come together, right? It's not like it's been the greatest thing. He's more of like a wide receiver two almost, right? On this year. Um and that's with the good quarterback, right? That's with the good quarterback. So I'm I I'm okay. I'm okay doing that, right? I assume that probably means your other wide receivers like Puka Nakua or Amon-Ra St. Brown or something, where it's an automatic play. So I'm working under that assumption, right? And I'm also working under this assumption that you wouldn't be flexing Nico Collins because you have like a Rico Dowdle or a running back or somebody, um, so that you basically only need one of these two wide receivers. I'm kind of gonna talk based off of that, but you can correct me where I'm wrong, right? And so, um, yeah, with Mills coming in as the backup quarterback, you can project less uh less offense than what CJ Stroud could have done, right? Jaguars have been up and down on the defensive end, so it's not like he has a plus matchup, right? He has kind of a tough matchup. And Courtland Sutton, I feel like should be able to get some good usage here. So I I would play Sutton in that case, and not flinch on, like you said, benching Nico, unless, like the only other way is if you got somebody, you got Puka and Drake London, and then pick between Sutton and Nico. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, for sure, Dallas. I'm exactly doing what you're doing then. I'm playing Puka and Drake, and then I'm playing Sutton. Um, over Nico. Hopefully that was good and that helped you in that analysis. If that did, if you could drop a like, much appreciated. Ask any other questions or anything. Sending much love to you, the three Walketeers. Hopefully you win this, or Dallas. Sorry. Hopefully you win this matchup, Dallas. Drop a like if you can. Much appreciated. The three Walketeers, you got Bowers, so you're hoping he can go crazy again. I mean, he has to, right? He has to. It's without him. What has our Raiders offense been? It's been nothing. Now, the number one flex option on the entire week. Maybe not. Maybe not a 50-point game again, but hopefully he he can get close to maybe like 80 to 100 yards, a touchdown, and 7 receptions, something like that. That would be pretty solid against this defense. So I hope he can get you like a 20 PPR point game to the three Walketeer. Much love. What's up, Genwell? You think it's time to tell anyone to ask if BTJ is worth keeping to ship him off? What's up, Genwell, my man? How are you? Yeah, at BTJ, man. BTJ. Great play last year for me. Stayed off of him this year. Just thought his draft capital was just a bit too high. But holy smokes, he's probably been one of the biggest busts this year, I would probably have to say, right? But no, I don't think there's any reason to keep BTJ anymore. I might have said this last week or the week before. I truly believe this man is hurt. I truly believe he is hurt, and they are not letting us know. And I think it's some type of injury where you don't necessarily need surgery, but like it does affect you physically, but mentally as well, right? Something maybe like a torn, labrum, or some like rotator cuff damage. Something where it's not necessarily like you have to get surgery. I think he's injured. And then with the moves that they made, wasn't it you that was thinking that Jalen Waddle or somebody might end up going over there, but they end up getting Jacoby, right? Maybe by the end of the year, he's fully healthy. Jacoby and Travis Hunter looks like they're trying to make a playoff run, right? It also looks like to me, that they might move off of BTJ this year, which is also a possibility as well, right? It's been 2 years, right? I know Lawrence was hurt and didn't have the full year, but it almost looks like that BTJ and Lawrence just are not for some reason they're not compatible or something. I don't know what it is, but it's like, they've had more than a season together, and even last season, like it wasn't like BTJ was having phenomenal games with Lawrence. It was adequate, right? But his wide receiver one upside didn't come until Mac Jones took over. So I don't know. It almost feels like, yeah, not good, right? That's how I feel too. So I would ship him off. I would put him on the end of the bench. And are you ever going to feel comfortable, right? Like, let's say Brian Thomas comes out this next week and has a touchdown and 80 to 100 yards and 7 receptions. Are you going to feel comfortable playing him again the next week? Probably not, right? So yeah, I don't know what it would take. I don't know what it would take to feel comfortable on that one, Genwell. Your running backs are Gibbs and Jeanty. And then oh, you're welcome, Dallas. Yeah, you're solid, bro. You're not gonna bench those guys. All right, I'll be rooting for you for Jeanty and Sutton to get some points tonight, Dallas. To get some points. Your name is Dallas Lamb. You should have. I don't know if that. that has any reference to CeeDee Lamb, but I wonder if you drafted a lot of CeeDee Lamb. And I'm sure you probably got that terrible joke before, so if that was not funny, please disregard. All right, it's I forgot if it's JR, right? JR Smiles. So, how are you? How are you? RJ Harvey or Charbonnet in full PPR? You're still waiting for Bucky to come back. Oh man. I think for me this whole question comes down to are you projected to win? Are you projected to lose here? Reason being is, RJ Harvey is literally getting like 2 carries a game. Well, I want him to get more. I think he can have a Alvin Kamara breakout, like how Alvin Kamara was in his rookie year. If he gets the opportunity, they're just not giving to him. They're giving it to him in the passing game, but he needs like, come on, you need like 7 carries to be worth anything in terms of starting for a running back. But he's just getting it done with the like 3 or 4 receptions he's getting a game. He's scoring a touchdown with those receptions. So, I could see the Seahawks, right, leading the Cardinals and Charbonnet falling in the end zone. It's just, who do you believe is going to fall into the end zone between these two? Because Charbonnet will get a little more opportunities, but he's getting like between 3 to 4 yards of carry. So, he might get you 30 yards. He might get you 40 yards. All right, is he going to fall in the end zone? Right? RJ Harvey might catch, 2 or 3 passes. Hopefully he gets that yardage. And it's just, if you think you're going to fall into the end zone. This one's so close. This is so close. Let me just look back at Charbonnet's usage just to make sure. I just kind of like, I would kind of want to lean on the Harvey side and just like close my eyes, because it's so much more fun of a play. RJ Harvey just feels like a more fun play. Like, Zach Charbonnet is not a fun play. Like, last game, 8 carries, 25 yards, right? 21 yards receiving. So right around that 40-yard mark where we said, right? But no touchdowns. So he's got touchdowns in 1, 2, 3, 4 games. 4 out of 7 games, he's got touchdowns. It's close. I think if you're projected, let me see. If you are projected to only need a couple points, I could see playing Charbonnet. He feels like the more logical play to me, but with how much receptions and targets Harvey's been getting, I'm just hoping for that usage to continue, to get that. But it's so risky. It's so risky because he could get you 2 carries and only 2 receptions for 14 yards or something like that. I think you're projected to win by 15, and you want a reason to watch the game tonight. That's never a good reason to play a player, but I do it all the time. I mean, if you're projected to win by 15 and you're okay, and you understand, right? You understand that RJ Harvey might only get 2 or 3 carries for 5 yards and 2 receptions for 15 yards, and you might end the game with 4 or 5 fantasy points. You can also end the game with 4 or 5 fantasy points with Zach Charbonnet too, right? It just logically a little safer to play, I would say, Charbonnet, but I'd be down to play RJ Harvey. So go ahead, lock and load it. Get it in. Have something to watch. But much love for the questions. Drop a like if you can, everybody, as we get this game going. Drop a like if you can. Much appreciated. Hopefully that helped you, JR. Play RJ for the fun of it. Sharp is the more logical play since winning by 15. But if you're winning by 15, I think either play is okay. If you really want somebody to watch tonight. Sigma, good day. How are you? Do you think Bucky Irving will be playing? No, he's not playing. I don't think he's playing this week. He has not practiced. Brees Hall has a terrible matchup against, I believe, the Cleveland Browns. But even if Bucky comes back, he also has a terrible matchup because um he has the Patriots, right? And then the Jets are playing the Browns. So let's guys, I have something new for you guys today. Let's check this out. Check this out, right? Bam. We have the best and the worst matchups for rushing defenses. So if you look on the left-hand side, right, Sigma, the worst matchups for running backs are right here, okay? And so, Sigma, what you're looking at here is even if Bucky came back, he's playing against the Patriots, right? The Bucks are playing the Patriots. If you look, the Patriots allow the least amount of rushing yards per game to running backs, and only 3 touchdowns, right? So their run defense is the best in the league, one of the best in the league. Yes, the Browns are almost just as good, right? 754 yards versus 679. So it's not like the Browns are any better of a matchup, right? But if you're asking like should you play a potentially injured player coming back against one of the best defenses or a healthy player, right? It's very hard for me if Bucky was even fully practiced. I have him and I would be sitting him. This Patriots defense is really good. The Browns defense is very good as well. But, you know, with the health issue coming, I would have to play Brees, but hopefully that helped you, Sigma. Let me know if not, if you could drop a like, much appreciated and much love to you. Any other questions, let me know. Any other questions, let me know. Genwell said no, Sigma says no, that was the question that I just answered. Uh Marshawn Leland Jen says prayers. He passed away, huh? He did, huh? Oh, he died by S word? Oh no. Are you what? Oh no. After a police chase? I actually did not see this. Oh man, that's terrible. I actually did not see this. Oh my goodness. No, I did not see anything on this, but yes, prayers to his family. Wow, that is crazy. That is crazy. So they were concerned on his welfare after he said, "Oh no, goodbye" in a text. What? I have no words for this. Wow. That is so crazy. I don't even know what to say. Man, I've lost a lot. I've lost friends to that too. That is so awful. That is so awful. So Marshawn Nealon. Well, prayer to Marshawn Nealon and the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Prayers to Marshawn Nealon and his family, man. That is just sad. That is sad. So young. Just started his career. Just started his life and everything. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Um, let's see. What does this say? This says um is my is it lagging again? It says wow. I did not see that. RIP. RIP, you right. You right, General. You're bracking for the Raiders tonight. They need to make the division a bit messy. Well, we all can hope that if the Raiders win tonight, that would be fantastic, right? That would be fantastic. You have an 8-leg parlay in this one. Okay, both for 200 yards and a touchdown. Geno for 150. Okay, all those seem reasonable. Jeanty for 30 yards. That seems reasonable. JK for 50. That's probably the hardest one, but still possible so far. Bowers for 40 yards. Sutton and Franklin each for 25 yards. Okay. Okay. I will be rooting for you on this one. I think we barely missed the last one, right? Didn't we barely miss the last parlay? It was the only thing we missed was like a Derrick Henry touchdown. I think that was last game, right? A Derrick Henry touchdown on the last parlay, but yes, let's get it. Let's get it. Oh, JR says they locked RJ Harvey. Oh, so you weren't even able to change it? Man, that sucks. That sucks. That's unfortunate. It was a Henry TD that we missed. That's right. That's right. Dang, sorry to hear that, JR. Sorry to hear that it did not let you do that. Did not let you change your guy. All right. I think that's all the questions so far. Much love. Drop likes if anybody can. Drop any question in chat. We'll get this commentary started. We got everybody thinking the Broncos will score the first touchdown above the Raiders, and we got the Raiders here. Hopefully can do something. Looked a little better with Brock Bowers back after Bowers came back playing against the Jags, had an actual chance against the Jaguars. So we shall see. We shall see. So it's game is starting with the Raiders taking the field 3rd and 3 across midfield, 37-yard line. All right, we got Geno dropping back, getting sacked. Getting sacked is Geno Smith. Geno Smith getting sacked. All right, so we got Raiders getting sacked. 3rd down. Punt to Broncos. Sad face. Sad face, sad face, sad face. You're going to sneak RJ Harvey. Sneaking RJ Harvey 15 and Mayor 10, but you play it safe. You're not sure how many targets Lockett would have gotten, so you didn't put any Trey receiving. Yeah, that's I think that's a reasonable approach. We're not sure exactly what Lockett's role is going to be, and what if Brock Bowers just gets 50 targets today? Okay, so but we still got an 8-leg parlay to go for, so that'll be good. That'll be good to do. All right. While we wait here, let's go over some of this stuff. All right. So hold on. Let's go. Let's go here. All right. All right. So I think we can. There's no score yet, right? There's no score yet, so it does not matter yet. That score does not matter yet. Okay. So let's see. Let's see which one's gonna be. What do I think is gonna be the hardest one for you to hit in Shadwell? Either. I mean, all of them. Maybe Geno for 150 or J JK for 50. No, JK for 50 should be fine. Bowers for 40. I think those, to me, those are the hardest ones. Those are the hardest ones. Uh, those are the hardest ones for me, I would say. All right. So this game is Broncos are 7-2, Raiders are 2-6. So Broncos projected to win by 10 games here. We got also the Chiefs and the Chargers in this division. So this division is pretty good. Um we have the Broncos taking the field now. Broncos will take the field. They are on their own 3-yard line, 2-yard line, 1st and 10. Here we go. Handoff up the middle. Gain of about 6 is J.K. Dobbins. All right, so J.K. Dobbins, good run on the 1st down. Thursday night football. Thursday night football. All right, so here we go. 2nd and 4 is the field is being taken. Second, 2nd and 4. The total. Hold on. What is going on? All right, 2nd and 4. Here we go. Here's a pitch backwards. Dobbins trying to get out to the outside, and he gets about 2 or 3. The over under for tonight was 42.5. I think so. Wait. Yes. Yes. Is that 10, 17? I thought it was less than that. Was it 42.5? I thought it was less than that. All right, so 3rd and 2 are the Broncos. And looks like they're short. It looks like they are short. Yeah, oh no, you're right. It's 42.5 over under. It was 42.5. Yes, it was. 42.5 over under. Yes, was 42.5. Broncos were +9. All right. So nowhere to go for the Broncos on their first series and the first series all went to J.K. Dobbins. He got about 7 yards, but they could not 7 or 8 yards, but they could not get the first down. Since they were backed up into their own end zone, they would not go for it on fourth down and punted. The punt was not a good punt and went out of bounds. So the Raiders will be taking it over with good field position. Again, Raiders are taking it over with good field position. And when it comes to the Broncos are a fantastic defense. So we're across midfield on about the 41-yard line for the Raiders. Geno Smith under center, Ashton, Jeanty in the backfield. Snap is taken, pitch back to Jeanty, and he looks for some room, nowhere to go. Met back up at the line of scrimmage, nowhere to go on that one. So when it comes to this defense, the Broncos, it is not necessarily that no one has scored against them. Okay. They've given up 14 total touchdowns, 8 of them to the pass, 6 of them to the rush. In terms of passing yards, they're about middle of the pack. So you can somewhat move the ball against them. However, they commit a lot of turnovers and they commit a lot of pressures on the quarterback. So even though some teams have scored on the Broncos, they're known to create a lot of havoc with this pressure on this defensive line by causing turnovers, sacks, things of that nature. So hopefully we can have an exciting game here. Hopefully we have an exciting game. It is tame weather, but maybe we'll see more running with the wind swirling. Possibly. It is okay. All right. So we had a pitch and we get a first down on 3rd and 10. First down for the Raiders. First down. Raiders first down. Woohoo. Yeah, so over here the weather is changing. And there has been some wind, so it's possible. It's possible. The Raiders' run defense is not near good. I doubt it'd be cool if the Raiders could be leading all game and could be running. That would be cool. That would be cool. But we shall see, right? We shall see. So that looked like they tried a pitch to Trey Tucker they got about 7 yards. So it's going to be 2nd and 3. Here we are marching near the red zone after some good field position on this drive. It's 2nd and 3, dropping back, shotgun Geno, finding looks like Brock Bowers for the first down. It was not Brock Bowers. It was not. It was the other tight end, Mayer. All right. So they ran a double tight end set. Mayer cut across the middle from the left. Bowers cut across the middle from the right. And they just Geno just hit Mayer for the first down. All right, so red zone. Raiders in red zone. Let's go. Raiders in the red zone. Here comes a pitch to Jeanty. Blocks are forming. Jeanty's got some room. He gains about 5. Man, these guys with this spam, yo. You guys, how many different accounts do you have just spamming like this? This is nuts. All right. Get them in a timeout. All right, here we go. Let's get some celebrations out here. Let's see if we could get can the Raiders score celebrations. Here we go. 2nd and 4. 2nd and 4. Here we go. 2nd and 4. Snap is off. Geno looking to his right, finding Bowers. No, that was Mayer again. Man, I keep getting them confused. I just see the 80 number on the jersey. I'm like, oh, that has to be Bowers. But that was not Bowers again. They're showing Bowers walking off the field right now. So we got a 3rd and 2. The Raiders have 65 yards of total offense. I'm liking it. I am liking it. Here we go. Raiders controlling the ball in this game. Here we go. Geno Smith and team. 3rd and 2 on the 4-yard line. Here we go. Shotgun. Snap is off. Handoff. Up the middle. Jeanty's going to get the touchdown. Let's go. Raiders. There we go, buddy. Woohoo. Let's go. Let's go. Ashton Jeanty for the touchdown. Celebrations. Ashton Jeanty for the touchdown. Let's go. All right. So, even though there more people voted for the Broncos, the Raiders ended up winning that poll. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. All right. Let's see. Who Ashton Jeanty scoring the touchdown. Who will win this game? All right. So, the Raiders score the first touchdown. The Raiders have scored the first touchdown. Raiders scored first touchdown. We got Ashton Jeanty scoring the first touchdown. There we go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Let's go. Who would have thought the Raiders would be leading this game? All right. While we wait for things to come back, let's get some commentary going on the best players so far. Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar, Chase, Bijan Robinson, Jackson, and Jigba, your top 5 fantasy players on the year so far. All these guys are on fire, pretty much lock and loaded every single week. No real need to change any of these guys. Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Javonte Williams, George Pickens, Amon-Ra St. Brown is your next 5. And very interesting to still see George Pickens here, right? Even though with CeeDee Lamb back, George Pickens has still been able to maintain steady, which I believe tells us, that for the rest of the season, George Pickens should be a fine play week to week, not having to worry whether to sit him or not. Same thing with Javonte Williams here too. Kept keeping up pace as a RB1 for the year. So keeping him going. Next one's Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Gibbs, Puka Nacua, Rico Dowdle, and Michael Pittman. There's some names up in here that we probably did not expect. Javonte Williams, you probably not expect him to be this high, right? Everybody else, we kind of could have imagined them to be somewhat this high. Maybe George Pickens not this high, but still projected him to do pretty well. Jamar Gibbs has had some up and downs with the split work in Montgomery. And Rico Dowdle looking like he's going to be an RB1 for the rest of this year. All right, so we now got the game coming back to after the awesome touchdown by the Raiders, because the Raiders will win this game, right? The Raiders will win this The Raiders will win this game, and the Broncos are now taking over. James Cook is on IR? No way. No way. I don't see this. Are you Are you pulling my chain on this? I don't see any of this. Because I saw something that he was practicing today. I didn't see anything about IR. Where did you see this? Are you sure you saw James Cook on IR? Because I saw he practiced today. What do I think happens with Pickens? Do the Cowboys pay him? I don't know. I think they want to keep him, but I don't think they're going to get a chance to. Sack by the Raiders defense. Sack by the Raiders defense. I I think they want to pay him, but I think somebody's just going to match it and pay more, you know? I know you and I can probably agree that Jerry Jones is not, he sometimes makes emotional decisions and may overpay people or may do crazy things. Um, but like, you know, I feel like he's proven himself so much this year that even if they give him a big offer, somebody else is I feel like going to give him just the same or even bigger of an offer. And it would mainly be like he would have to want to stay on the Cowboys, but I don't know if that's true, you know. But I think somebody's gonna pay him. I think somebody's gonna pay him, and I think he's gonna be paid as much as, you know, your top wide receivers in the league. I don't know where he's going. If we had to take a guess, where could he go? Right? Um, where could he go? That's a good question. Um, but I think they would want to keep him. I just don't know if they can. So let's say they offer him like, you know, 20 million a year. I feel like somebody's just gonna come in and offer him, you know, like 21 and a half or something. You right, like just essentially up it. Um, so I don't know. What do you think? What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen? Um, all right, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second here. We got we got maybe there's talks, but he was injured. Okay. Yeah, he was injured. I did end up picking up Ray Davis just as a maybe if he didn't heal, but I didn't see anything about him going on IR or nothing like that. Um, so I do think he's okay now. But let me know what you think on Pickens. Let me know what you think on Pickens. Um, let's see. If we look at all the teams, if we look at all the teams, Falcons, Bills, you know, somebody like the Bills, the Browns, Bills, Browns, uh, Raiders, uh, maybe the Panthers, Commanders. Oh, that might be something worth it too, huh? If they just, yeah, I think he's going somewhere else. I could see so many teams wanting a wide receiver one. Yeah, I think he's going somewhere else. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Um, you paying both CD and Pickens is all right. It's a huge chunk though. Yeah, but they're paying Dak an insane amount. Dak is their biggest problem, right? Isn't Dak like the highest? Let me see. Cowboys. So Dak, yeah, Dak they're paying Dak 60 million a year. They're paying him 60 million a year, right? They're paying Dak 60 million a year. They're paying CD 34, and they're paying a bunch of other guys a lot too. I mean, yeah, he's probably looking at like a 25 million a year contract at, at least. Because if you then you'd basically be paying 120 million per year between Dak, CD, Pickens. That's that's like realistically what you're looking at paying per year to sign Pickens. All right, here we go. 33-yard line. Geno dropping back, 1st and 10. Hits Jeanty for another pass, gain of about 6. They're hitting Jeanty through the air again, which is nice to see. Looks like Jeanty's going to have a good game here. Yes, it does look like it. He's already got a few receptions, got a touchdown. He's getting some good usage. Um, Definitely looks like they're trying to get him worked in here. Salting away the clock pretty well, too. Oh, yeah, they just pull up the ball control. 10.5 minutes for the Raiders, 3.5 minutes for the Broncos. All right, 2nd and 4. Here it goes. Another pitch to Jeanty. He finds a hole, finds some room, and he's got it. He's got one man to beat. Oh, oh no. There's a flag, though. Is that going to drop back with the offensive hold? Pete Carroll's looking real mad. Yup. Holding on the offense. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You could see the Saints, but they have more problems before their wide receiver room. Yeah, they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback, that's for sure. Oh man, big run by Jeanty called back for hold. Man, that sucks. That sucks. Jeanty had a big one. You could see the Saints. I could see a bunch of teams, dude. There's a bunch of teams out there. The Saints, I think they believe in Chris Olave, so I feel like they're gonna try to roll with him. Um, all right, so the Raiders are up 7-0. The Raiders are up 7-0. All right, let's see. Um, I would say I don't know where the Bills salary cap is, but they could probably use a wide receiver, right? The Browns definitely could use a wide receiver. Um, uh, who else? Uh, Browns, Bills, I guess the Raiders, Browns, Bills, Raiders. Um, Browns, Bills, Raiders. Put user in a timeout. All right. Olave's body doesn't believe in Olave's body doesn't believe in him. I want to see him with I want to see him with a good quarterback. Um, I don't know if I don't think I believe in a JSN resurgence. I don't think he's as good as Justin Jefferson. Um, so I can make that clear distinction, right? But if you look at what Michael Pittman's doing this year, you know, I think that's possible. Even a little better, like a more athletic Michael Pittman, maybe like 20 more yards a game or something like that. I think that's possible, but we'll see. We shall see. All right, let's see. All right, we got the game. Here we go. Second quarter starting. Second down and 12 for the Raiders. Here we go. Second down and 12. Smith looking for his man, Brock Bowers. No one there. It's going to be third and 12. Third and 12. All right. Here we go. It's third and 12. 30-yard line. Here we go. Snap is off. And Geno gets sacked. And there goes that Denver defense that it's known for. Bringing that pressure immediately. No chance. No chance. So there goes a sack. There goes a sack for the Raiders. Well, not, sorry. A sack for the Broncos on the Raiders. All right, so there is an injury right now on the field. Um, let's see. Raiders hopefully can win this game. Hopefully the Raiders can win this game. That would be crazy awesome, would that not? That would be crazy awesome. All right, so we got a commercial break while we wait for things to. Here we go. All right. So while we wait for the game, let's continue down this. We talked about Rico Dowdle probably being an RB1 rest of season. Puka Nacua coming back. Michael Pittman, you gotta believe. I don't think you could sit him. I don't think you can sit him. Wide receiver 2 flex for the rest of the year. He's performing at a borderline wide receiver numbers, so gotta believe Michael Pittman's gonna keep that up. Kyron Williams, great usage. Saquon Barkley, bounce back game. We just gotta check his injury to make sure that he actually is not injured. I know he said he wasn't injured. We just gotta make sure. Cam Scatterboot, he went on IR. That's how good of a season he had for those like 4 games or whatever he played. Because he's still in the top points for the year. Hasn't played, since his injury. We'll see how he can do next year. And Devontae Adams catching touchdowns like every single game. Him and Matthew Stafford have that veteran connection, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. Those are your top flexes for this week. I'll get the live score updated. We'll talk about the best quarterbacks real quick. Patrick Mahomes, Drake May, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Bo Nix. Bo Nix playing tonight. So we know Bo Nix could score a lot of points in a short amount of time. So even though not a good first quarter, that could turn around quickly. Daniel Jones. He's somebody that was shouted out to have one of the harder schedules to end the year, and somebody to be watching out for. Been starting him. Jalen Hurts going to be good. Dak Prescott probably going to have to score a lot of points with his defense being bad. And Matthew Stafford, a very big surprise, being one of the best quarterbacks on the year. And it just looks like with not only Puka Nacua, but Devontae Adams, that he has so many weapons that pass game is going to continue to do well. All right, so let's get this score updated because of how well the Raiders did to score first. Let's go, Raiders. Raiders scoring and are up. All right. So this will go to the Broncos. This will go to the Broncos now. Broncos will have a shot at this now. All right. So Broncos are Cole. How are you? How are you, Cole? But we got our Raiders scoring first, man. We got the Raiders scoring first, dude. We got the Raiders scoring first. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you saw it, but the Raiders scored first. That was surprising. I thought your Broncos would be winning the whole game. Don't forget to vote for your Broncos. Don't forget to vote for your Broncos. So Broncos will be taking over now. Knicks finding check down, nothing there. RJ Harvey getting a catch for like 0 yards. So there goes the all holding on the offense. Holding on the offense, that's getting called back. All right, that is getting called back. There wasn't a gain anyways. So now they're just going to back them up. Backing them up. Backing them up. Oh my goodness. All right. And where is my... Here it is. Here's the update of the score. We got the Raiders now with 7 whole points. Yay. All right, so the Broncos are making a march right now. The Raiders can hold up here. Let's see if they could hold up here. So show him Max Crosby. Hopefully he could bring some ruckus. Hopefully he could bring some pressure here. 2nd and 16 for Bo Nix. Looking for his man in. Incomplete. 3rd and 16. 3rd and 16 for Bo Nix and team. Looking Courtland Sutton. And nothing there. All right, 3rd and 16. Finds his man short of the first down. Troy Franklin. 4th down. The corner hands only for decoration. Sheesh. That's a burn. Got hands of stone. Hands of stone. 4th and 3 for Bo Nixon team. Here we go. They are 4th and 3. And they're substituting. All right, here it goes. 4th and 3. It looks like they're trying to draw them offsides. Raiders. All right. There was a delay of game. Nothing there. Hands of butter. Wait, no. Butter hands, stone hands. Stone hands. All right. That is a celebration for a punt forced back to the Raiders. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So we got punt set up here. Here we go. Punt is off. And it looks like a bad kick. Why is the Denver kicking having such a poor time? I'm not sure. But the Denver kicker messed up. Messed up the punt again. Bad punts. Bad punts for the Broncos. All right. Let's celebrate. Let's see if we could get get some more scoring by the Raiders. Can we get some more scoring done by the Raiders? Raiders are up 7-0 right now. All right, 1st and 10 for the Raiders on their 29-yard line. Under centers, Geno Smith, man in motion. Handoff to Jeanty. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. All right, so we got Geno Smith looking for his man. Nothing there on 2nd down. It is now 3rd down. 3rd down. All right. Defense is looking real good for the Broncos on this one. All right, here we go. 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9 for the Raiders. Denver looking for 3 and out on the Raiders. 3rd and 9. Geno dropping back. Looking, firing, finding Brock Bowers. Bowers for the 1st down. Brock Bowers for the 1st down. Let's go. Where are we at? Where are we at for Jen Wills? Where are we at for Jen Wills parlay? That was some good yardage for Bowers. That probably got him half. Can't say the same for the offense. Haven't seen Bowers till now. No. I think this was Bowers' first catch. I think that is true. Geno Smith with 80 yards. Geno Smith. Oh, trying a quick pass to Jeanty. Dropped. Nothing there on 1st down. Just like that. So Brock Bowers getting them the 1st down. Them trying to go back to Jeanty, but nothing there, nothing home. Team's got to stop with the screenplays. when they're very obvious, I know they don't work, but when they work, man, they go crazy. Here goes another one. No way. Is that why you just said that? Trey Tucker for 3 yards. Is that why you just said no more screenplays after they tried one first to Jeanty and now to Trey Tucker? 3rd down and 7. 3rd down and 7. All right, let's go. Come on, Raiders. Come on, Raiders. Just in general. Come on, Raiders. 3rd down. Here we go. Geno Smith, shotgun formation, 3rd and 7. Hopefully no screenplays. Man in motion. Going back. Fire. Stepping back. Firing. And it's too high. But there's a flag on the play. There is a flag on the play. Defense. Neutral zone infraction or offsides. So now it's going to be a replay 3rd down. I believe 3rd and 2. I think it was 3rd and 7. All right. Screen play to the house. Let's see it. Let's see a screenplay for a touchdown. Screenplay to the house. I know. I wonder what percentage of offenses are using screenplays now. It is like in every single game. 3rd and 2. Under center. Quarterback sneak. What kind of play call was that? Nowhere to go. That was a terrible play call, Raiders. 4th and 2. You think you're gonna try to sneak in on one of the best defensive lines in the game? That was a stupid call. What kind of call was that? Come on, guys. That was a terrible sneak. I know, that was a terrible call. They're going for it on 4th down, 4th and 2. Not sure what we're doing here. Should probably take... Oh, and he finds his man. There's a flag, but it's a touchdown for now. But there's 2 flags. It has to be an offensive hold or something. Pass interference. Dang. Wow. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, that was definitely... Oh, man. No. Touchdown wiped off. Oh, man. What would have been a touchdown is now a punt. Wow, what a generous kick. It's going to be down at about the 1. The ball bounced completely sideways and out of bounds. Wow. Crazy bounce for the punt. That's as good as it can get. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Oh my goodness. Hey, was it were you General, were you Joe Alt? That was you that was saying that's his name, right? Wanted him to go on going on IR. And it ended up happening, I think, right? I don't know what you think what do you think is gonna happen for the Chargers now? Do you think that hurts them. I mean, obviously it should hurt them, right? But do you still have hopes for like playoffs and stuff? Um, yeah, they put him on IR. He just needs to get his body right. Yeah, yeah. I saw or I heard a stat. I heard a stat that like with him in uh Justin Herbert is like 33% better, meaning like he's like throwing, throwing more yards per completion, all that kind of stuff. With Jolt in versus not, and it's pretty significant. So I'm not sure if you think it's gonna affect them as a whole or not, or what you think. Um, I'm not. I personally, I'm not worried about Justin Herbert like so much, but I'm wondering if you think it's gonna hurt their run game or anything at all. No point in quitting now. You'll get into the playoffs, but you'll crawl our way there and give it your best. Believe in the coaching staff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. True. I know that's true. I just meant like I don't know if Vidal's gonna have any success type of thing. That's what I'm thinking. Bo Nix rolling out, finding his man. J.K. Dobbins, gain of about 5. But yeah, um, that's tough. That's tough. I think I think you guys will still win and stuff. Justin Herbert's having is balling out, having a crazy game. But we'll see if Vidal and team can continue running. All right, here you go. Oh wow, what a great stop! What a great stop on third down by Stokes. He was picked off, but he was still able to hold the guy down until help came to make the tackle. Otherwise, that would have been a huge gain. That would have been a huge gain. All right, so we got 3rd and 1 here. We got 3rd and 1. Bo Nix taking the snap, looking for his man, looking to run it himself. Fires, no good. 4th and 1. 4th and 1. You think it'd be Chargers, or who will win the division? Do you think the Chargers could win the division? It's more of our interior that lets the run game down. Betkin, who hasn't gotten his body right. Us Chargers fans call his injury lazy-itis, and Bozeman, who's worse than Andre James. Just give Andre James a shot. It's called lazy-itis. Put user in a timeout. Nah, you'll finish 6th or 7th. So does that mean the Broncos are going to win the division, you think? Because it's all 3 of you guys, right? Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers. It's just like the NFC West, right? With Rams, Seahawks, and Niners, where like it feels like 3 teams out of each division can legitly make playoffs, right? So let's see. Yeah, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs. So the Jaguars is the threat, right? Because you figure the Patriots and the Bills are going to make the playoffs. The Steelers and the Ravens are going to battle it out. But, and then Chiefs and Chargers. Wow, this is the AFC is gonna be tough, yo. Oh, and then oh man, the NFC is tough too because the Packers, the Lions, and the Bears are also all playing really well. So there's 3 teams from the NFC North and 3 teams from the NFC West that are all potentially there too. Wow, it's gonna be a tight race. It is gonna be a tight race. It's hey Raiders fans, still not an impossibility for us to make it. True. True, true, true. I mean, all I'm looking for can we win this game, right? That's what I'm looking for is uh, make playoffs, or can we at least win a game? Can we at least win this game, please? That's what I'm hoping for. All right, so 2nd and 10 here. All right. 7 minutes 30 seconds left in this half. Here we go. Raiders across midfield. 2nd and 10. Shotgun, or no, under center. And the tackle was made in the backfield on Brock Bowers. It's going to be 3rd and long. They read that play from a mile away. Oh, man. Great defensive read on that. Great read on that. 3rd and 14. And here it goes. 3rd and 14. Geno looking, finding his man, and short of the 1st down. Looks like it should be a good field goal. 4th down and 5. They say they're referring to the swirling wind on why they're going to try to go for this. This does not sound like a good idea, but we shall see. Try to draw him off sides or something. Here it goes. Snap is off. And Geno is sacked. I felt like we saw this coming, guys. And Geno's talking to the running back like, what the heck are you doing? You were supposed to pick up that blitz. Geno Smith was like, why didn't you pick up that blitz? Oof. Turnover on downs. All right, Bo Nix and team get a shot now. All right. Bo Nix and team get a shot now. Let's see. Let's go over some stats, guys, while we're waiting for this game to come back up. I think we went over the rushing stats a bit. So let's go over the passing stats just a bit. All right. Passing stats. So, best matchups, and I think this pretty much goes for the rest of the year. So what I did was I filtered all the defenses by yards first, and then what I kind of do is I kind of bucket them. You know, at this point now that there's, I try to bucket them within about 10% ish of yards, right? So 2,400, the most amount of yards, right? So up until about that 2,300, 2,200 yard mark, you could envision, everywhere about the Giants are about in the same tier of good matchups. And then you just look for the ones with the more touchdowns, right? So like you look, the Cowboys and the Bengals have the most touchdowns, closely followed by the Commanders. That's why those are your top three uh, defenses to play against if you have a wide receiver, right? Or if you have a quarterback. Positive matchups. On the other end, you look out for the worst matchups, the least amount of yards, and same kind of concept, right? So 1398 yards for the Falcons. So within a couple hundred yards, up to about that 1500, even that 1600-ish mark, right? So Falcons, Bills, Texans, least amount of passing opportunities in terms of yards and touchdowns, where the Texans and the Bills are actually pretty tough against the pass. However, the Bills do allow a little more yards per attempt. So that is something, for a potential bigger play, potential that could be done there. And what you can just compare it to the rough rushing defense, right? If you look at the rushing defenses, and if you just double check on the uh, Bills, where are the Bills? Um, and they are one of the better matchups. So it looks like they're more of a pass funnel team, right? And rush funnel team, sorry, meaning that they try to take away the pass and have the team beat them through the ground, which they do have, you know, they are one of the better matchups rushing. So that's how I analyze defenses. We'll go back into it a little deeper in a bit, but we do have the game coming back right now. Man, this is crazy. There's so many. All right, here we go. We got the first down by the Broncos, And after the first down, they got called for a hold, so it's now going to be a 1st and 20. 1st and 20. Linebacker Nick Bonito looks like he is slightly injured. But he's given a thumbs up, so he should be able to come back in the game. But he got pulled out of the game for a second. Got 5 minutes left in this half. The Broncos are at midfield. It is 1st and 20. And the Broncos are trying to score here before the half. 1st and 20. Snap is off. Bo Nix in shotgun. He drops back. Looking, finds his man, RJ Harvey, for about 1 or 2 yards. So there's an RJ Harvey catch. Let's see. We had a 8-way parlay by one of our community members. Let's check in on how we're doing on this 8-yard parlay. Bo Nix way off from his goal. Geno Smith 150 has 92. Should be able to hit that. Jeanty needed 30 rushing yards. He's got it. Bowers needed 40 yards. He's got 31, so he's short. Everybody's short on the Broncos. All right, Bo Nix finding his man. There goes the yardage. And there we go. Game is now competitive. We are now in scoring distance. Of course, we expected the Raiders defense to give it up at one point or another. And here it is. Bo Nix finding his man. We are now in the green zone for the Denver Broncos. Scoring opportunity coming here for the Broncos in the green zone. I think it's the green zone. Yeah, they're on the 5. 1st and goal. Bo Nix, shotgun formation, takes the snap, fires, finds his man, and RJ Harvey got nowhere to go. 2nd and goal. 2nd and goal. Here we go. All right. So 2nd and goal, 3 minutes left. 3 minutes, 12 seconds left. Clock is ticking. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Second and goal. Second and goal. Here we go. Empty backfield, shotgun formation. Bo Nix dropping back, looking, firing, finding his man. Easy touchdown. Touchdown. Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin. Bo Nix for the touchdown to Troy Franklin. There you go. There you go. Bo Nix touchdown to Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin is a crazy sneaky play right now in deeper leagues, getting something like 8+ targets a game, touchdowns in multiple weeks recent in the past month. He is looking like the solid number 2 wide receiver for the Broncos right now. Of course, everybody knows Courtland Sutton's the number 1 option. However, a lot of time the number 1 option is taken away. So sometimes the number 2 option, ends up getting a good amount of value. And, Marvin Mims was in the picture. Doesn't matter. Troy Franklin, for some reason, is Bo Nix is like favorite target and has been getting a lot of upside. So Troy Franklin catching the touchdown from Bo Nix to tie it up 7-7 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the half. Tie game. The Broncos have tied the game. Broncos have tied the game. All right. Hopefully, my eyes are like this because we can hope that the Raiders can score again before the half. Let's see if we can score again before the half. Come on, Raiders. Come on, Raiders. This is a tough defense, guys. So you guys are not doing terrible. I just questioned just 2 plays that you guys did. The quarterback sneak on 3rd down. That was kind of weird. 3rd down and 2. Quarterback sneak. Very questionable there. All right. Looks like the wind must be strong or something to not want to kick field goals. All right. So here we go. Broncos and Bo Nix just scored. 7-7. Geno Smith and team taking the field. 1st and 10. 2 minutes and 41 seconds left. 35-yard line. Shotgun formation. Here it goes. Looking. And Geno Smith nowhere to go. Nowhere to go for Geno Smith. It's going to be 2nd down. 2nd down and 10. Got tackled. Line of scrimmage. Sacked. 2nd down and 10. Here we go. 2nd down and 10. No gain on the play. 2nd down and 10. All right, so the Broncos took a timeout, trying to 3 and out the Raiders and get the ball back one more time. But here we go. Handoff. Jeanty, gain of about 3 maybe. Be 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 7, somewhere around there. All right. All right, here we go. 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6, guys. Here we go. 3rd and 6. 38-yard line. Shotgun formation. Stepping back. And Geno Smith gets sacked again. Sacked again. 4th down. 4th down. All right. Here goes the punt. All right. So 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning in a tie game. All right. While we wait for this to come, let's continue talking about some defenses. So let's go to the rushing defenses. Let's go to the rushing defenses here. And let's look at some of the best matchups. And are we surprised to see the Bengals at the top? Are we surprised to see the Cowboys and the Bengals at the top of the best matchups? So Bengals and Giants give it the best matchups with 12 touchdowns each, over 5 yards of carry, 5.5 yards of carry, and 1,400 yards for the Giants, 1,500 yards for the Bengals. Dolphins as well, pretty good, easy to run on. Cowboys next, followed by the Titans. So those are your top 5. All makes sense, right? All those teams are probably trailing. Throw the Saints in there as well. All those teams are probably trailing most games. So a lot of teams running on them. And they can't stop the run. All of them have double-digit touchdowns. The worst matchups for the rushing defense is Patriots, Seahawks, Jaguars, Packers, and Texans. All very solid defenses. All very solid defenses. If you look all the way down, all the way through even the Rams, I would say, all really solid. All really solid defenses for rushing. And so, vice versa, if there are teams that have a good matchup for your rushing defense, you're obviously playing your running backs there. But just because you have a bad matchup against a rush defense, sometimes the running back can get away with it if they're pass catching running back. So that's a way around it. It's not always bulletproof, but so that is something that you can always check on as an additional stat as well. If let's say you're playing the Patriots, right? But when you look at the pass defense of the Patriots, when you look at the pass, they're one of the best. They're one of the better matchups, right? With 15 touchdowns given over 2,000 yards. So even though playing let's say like a Quinshon Judkins is probably not good against the Patriots, right? Which was kind of proven. I know he got injured, I think, but playing maybe Rachaad White, he might be able to score some this week. Bo Nix and team are taking the field again, so let's see what Bo Nix and team can do here. 2-minute drill. 2-minute drill for Bo Nix and team here. 1st and 10, 1:50 left. They just scored. They 3-and-outed and got the ball back, so they'll be looking to score again before the half to control this game. And we are tied 7-7. We are tied 7-7. Bo Nix and team trying to make something happen before the end of this half. Before the end of this half. So let's see what they can do. 2nd down and 10. 2nd down and 10 for Bo Nix. and team. Here we go. Taking the snap in a shotgun. Firing, finding his man, Evan Ingram. It's going to be third down and about 3. Third down and about 3 with a minute 35 left. Third down and about 3. All right, third down and 3. Snap is taking. Dropping back. Firing, finding his man. That's a first down. Easy money. Easy money, but a flag on the field. We'll see what it is. Looks probably a defensive call. Pass interference offense, so that gets called back. Ouch. Ouch. Pass interference on the offense, that gets called back. All right, so here we go. Play gets called back. Play gets called back there. All right, so now we got 3rd and 14. 3rd and 14. Raiders still have all 3 timeouts left, so if they can get a stop here, they should be able to get the ball back. And Bo Nix is running for it himself, and he's got a first down. Courtland Sutton for the first down. All right, this is looking like the Normals Raiders defense, not like earlier. This is looking like the Normals Raiders defense. So whistles are off, flag is up, timeout is called. Penalty flags. False start. First down, false start. False start. And the first down. No good. No good. 1st and 15, no good. 43 seconds left. 43 seconds left. 1 timeout by the Broncos. 43 seconds left. 2nd and 15. All right, here it goes. 2nd and 15. Shotgun formation. Here we go. Bo Nix getting flushed out the pocket, going deep. And it's intercepted. It is intercepted. Oh. Interception. Interception. Let's go. The Raiders defense. The impeccable Raiders defense. That was just an ill-advised throw. Very ill-advised throw. He was going for the whole touchdown, the whole enchilada there. That was a bad pass. That was a really bad pass. All right, here come the Raiders, 1st and 10. Going deep. Oh, and it was off the fingertips. Come on, Dante Thornton. 2 bad plays on your part. The pick called back for the touchdown. Oh, man, that was off your fingertips. You should be able to catch that. Oh, man. Come on. Here it goes. 2nd and 10. Timeout by the Raiders. Oh, man. That was a blown opportunity. Blown opportunity. That was a blown opportunity. Dude, that was totally a blown opportunity, Genwell. No hands for sure. That was straight off his hand. You saw the ball just go like boop right off the palm of his hand. Like I know he was running full speed and everything, but oh my god. There's no better opportunity than that, right? That was one of the best opportunities they could have. Dang, man. All right, 2nd and 10. 21 seconds left. Shotgun formation. Here goes the snap. Looking, firing, finding his man. Out of bounds. 15 seconds left. 2 timeouts left. 3rd down. All right, here we go. 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1. 2 timeouts. All right, here we go. 3rd and 1. 2 timeouts. Shotgun formation. 45 seconds. Ah, no way. All right, Geno. 4th down. Wide receiver could have gotten 1st down if he didn't need to squat. Oh, they let it go to the half. Halftime. Yeah, they possibly could have got that 1st down. Also, though, Geno did throw a good ball to Thompson there, and he just, like you said, terrible hands, did not catch that. Halftime. High score. Would not have thought Raiders would be tied. Let's go. All right. Much celebrations, everybody. Much celebrations for the Raiders. The Raiders have it tied at halftime. Let's go. We're tied at halftime. Much love to y'all. Much love to y'all. We got tied at halftime. All right. We are tied at halftime. Bo Nix and team tied it up with the touchdown to Troy Franklin. You got a touchdown for Troy Franklin and a touchdown for Ashton Jeanty. And besides that, a whole bunch of nothing. Besides that, a whole bunch of nothing. Bunch of stuff going back and forth. But not much else going on in the game so far. Not much else going on. Bo Nix threw an critical interception. Bo Nix threw a critical interception before the half. So celebrations to Bo Nix for throwing an interception. Yay! All right, we got halftime. We got some good analysis that we can go over. But drop your questions in chat. BRB bathroom real quick. All right, I got back. Am back now. Jeffrey, how are you? Jeffrey, hello. All right, Jeffrey says you got offered Javante or Bucky and Jetta. So Justin Jefferson, nice for Gibbs and Waddle. Yeah. Okay, I have Gibbs and Waddle. I have Bucky too. I was trading for Jetta before, and I've looked at Javante's stats. So I've looked at this from different angles, and this is what I think. I think the Gibbs and Waddle side on this end, regardless if it's Javante or Bucky, is better. However, you're playing on the upside for Gibbs, but I would say it's the same situation on the wide receiver end for Jetta. And here's what I mean, right? Javante's got a pretty locked and loaded uh workload, right? So I pretty much foresee a safe floor of running back 2 at the worst, right? But running back 1 upside. Bucky, I wouldn't do it because he's injured and you don't know if he's coming back next week. You don't know if he's not coming back at all, and they just save him for the NFL playoffs, right? Of course, I want him back. We have no idea though. But Javante is on the field, so you would have to basically take him in this trade, right? Justin Jefferson, he's kind of been semi-solid, but if you look at his opportunities this year and what they've done with JJ McCarthy as the quarterback, they're not throwing the ball 40 times a game. They're basically throwing the ball 30 times a game, right? So, Justin Jefferson's 15 targets a game is not as like solid as you think, his target share might be a little bit lower. When you look at Gibbs, that's what I mean. If you compare it to Justin Jefferson, right? Gibbs is splitting work with Montgomery right now, and it's not like a 70-30 split. It's not like a 60-40 split. It's literally like a 50-50 split for right now, right? But what I will say is that the offensive line of the Detroit Lions is one of the best in the league. So even on those limited opportunities, you can project him to be able to run at a high yards per carry. Plus, he's used in the passing game, right? So that's a lot of bonus for PPR. Justin Jefferson, for him to have that same value as Gibbs of that upside, you would have to believe that JJ McCarthy could basically do what like the Detroit O-line does for Jahmyr Gibbs, but instead in the passing game for Justin Jefferson. And just the question is do you believe that JJ McCarthy is it, right? Is the man, and he's going to become like a maybe not Joe Flacco, how crazy Joe Flacco's going right now, but you get what I'm saying, right? In that direction. So I personally would want the Gibbs and Waddle here for I think that upside is higher for Gibbs versus Jetta, and I think the floor is pretty safe for Waddle. So I think I'd rather have Gibbs and Waddle. But let me know if you disagree. Let me know if that helped. Drop a like if you can, Jeffrey. You said Monte's getting too much work. I agree. Gibbs hasn't been getting his usual passing work, which is true too. Which is true too. I do though foresee on the course of a year that getting corrected back, right? If you look at the very beginning of the year, Gibbs had like more passing work than you would imagine, like some games with like 8 receptions, right? And now he has a little less. So highs and lows, I think that will average out. He does have Amika. Should you ask for him instead of Jetta? Not. Uh, that's a tough one. I think. I think if you're gonna look at Amika versus Jetta, I would look at rest of season schedule. I think Amika does have a bit more potential in terms of like Baker's. To me, is a more solid choice of quarterback than JJ McCarthy, and there's potentially more passing volume. on the other side of the coin, you don't know if Chris Godwin's going to come back or Mike Edwards and when. I still think I want to keep Gibbs and Waddle. Is there a reason you're trying to get rid of Gibbs and Waddle? Like, is this because you don't believe in them? Um, you're trying for new studs. What are you trying to accomplish by getting rid of these two players? Like, does Waddle sit on your bench and you're trying to consolidate? Like, what do you look? What kind? Like, I know you're saying you're trading stud for stud, right? But like, what's the goal of the stud for stud, right? Like, what I would be imagining here is that your stud Gibbs you don't like, and you're looking for a, let's say, more reliable running back. Like you're looking for the Devon Achan or the Javonte because you believe that Gibbs is not going to give you RB1 value on the rest of the season. That's how I'm perceiving this. I'm not exactly sure. Um, when we're at this point in the season, and we're 9 games in, we only have like 4 games left before playoffs. Depending on your league, it could be 3, it could be 5, right? But roughly 4 games left. So also, when it comes down to trade, my last question and thought-provoking question for you is like, what's your record, right? Because if you are like 7-2, right? I don't know if making a trade is a great idea because you're probably almost guaranteed to make the playoffs. And unless you're going for playoff schedules by making these trades, right, you might throw off what was working, right? So if you have a winning record, then and you're like 8-1, 7-2, maybe even 6-3. The real question is like, are you making these trades for the rest of the season schedules for the playoffs? What are we trying to accomplish here, right? So you said trading stuff for stuff is tough. Yes, just changing things up. Your third 11-7 and 3. Oh, so you must have a league that not only does wins and losses, but like median scoring as well. Am I if you're 11-7, if because that's 18, right? And that would be 9 games, 18. So yeah, it looks like you're in a median scoring league, maybe. And your third out of 12 is that 4 teams for playoffs. You're just changing things up for. Okay, so if you're going for steady workloads, like, dude, Jalen Waddle has like a very steady workload for a wide receiver, right? So maybe you're more looking to do a 1-for-1, or maybe if you're looking for workload, like I just went over this the other day, and let me see if I could pull this off the top of my head. You're probably not getting Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, or um, Jonathan Taylor unless you pay an arm and a leg, right? But those are your most steady 3. You can always try. Very rare chance, but you can always try, right? But right below that for the steady workload, the names that are kind of there, if you're not going to take Jamar Gibbs and you're going to try to get somebody else, it would be like Devon Achan, Rico Dowdle, and who else was it? Devon Achan, Rico Dowdle, uh, but yeah, I oh, I guess Javante's technically there too. Um, you have a median. Okay, so if you're trying to change it up, okay, I'm gonna throw one more thought out there for you. Is the steady workload what you need to make playoffs though? Because, and I'm just throwing this out there, because especially since your league is a median and you're already in third place, I don't know if it's only 4 teams that make playoffs or not, right? My last thought here is with the last games that are left and you having median scoring, I'm only asking this because I haven't really done this before, right? Does this mean based on the dynamics of your team, you need that steady workload or the steady points per game for the median scoring to make the playoffs. And if so, I could kind of see that. I think completely in a is it a fair trade? Yes, it's a fair trade, right? In terms of getting Javonte and Jetta for Gibbs and Waddle, that is a fair trade, right? I don't think either side's getting ripped off. I think both sides get value. I personally want the Gibbs and Waddle side, but if you're in a different dynamic league, right, which is median scoring, I don't know how many teams make playoffs. It could make sense, right, to, like you said, take this trade. In terms of running backs, Javonte's awesome, but if you can get, even someone just slightly more safe, I would try that. But that's kind of my last thought there. You have May, Chase Brown, Gibbs, Woody Marks, Singletary at RBs. Okay, then wide receivers, you have Waddle, Adams, Shaheed, Shakir, McBride as your tight end, and then your streaming defense. You try Flowers for Chase. 6 teams make playoffs. So basically, the question is, are you going to be rolling out Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams with Chase Brown and Javonte Williams? I think that's fine, man. If you think that's going to help your team, like, that's not an unfair trade. It's not an unwise trade. It's just my personal preference, right, of what I would want to have versus not. But with your roster build, that works too, right? That works too. I don't think you're necessarily what's it called? I don't think you're in a bad position now, right? I think you have solid receivers between Waddle and Adams to give you solid floors there with some touchdown upside for both of those guys, right? And then you have 2 running backs with high upside, right? You have 2 running backs with high upside in the PPR leagues because Chase Brown could take over the backfield. We don't know what's happening with Shamash AP Ryan. And then Jamar Gibbs, anything could happen if workload changes. So I like that roster now, but if you want to change it up, I think that's a fair trade. I hope that helps you. Yes, Gibbs is definitely the most talented player in the deal and could be the league winner if he gets 10% more workload or anything happens to David Montgomery. With this last week, it is a little scary. So I don't know how quickly your trades process or whatnot. So if you have to make the trade now and you feel like it's gonna work, you can go for it. But I think last week was an outlier of things, and I'm relying on the talent of Gibbs to figure it out. So I hope that helps, Jeff. Leave a like if you can. Let me know if you got any other thoughts or questions, but much love to you for asking all these questions. Much appreciated. James, how are you? Full PPR. Rest of season. Would you rather have Rome Odunze or Brian Thomas Jr.? Rome Odunze, 100%. 100%. Brian Thomas Jr., I had him last year. No hate against him. I think he's injured. I think he's more injured than they are letting on. And it is more than just the ankle. Like, he's been dealing with, something in his either shoulder, elbow, arm all season. It feels like, one of those injuries where he's going to get either surgery in the off season or they're going to tell us, something later down the line that it was more severe. Rome Odunze, he does have the ankle or the heel issue. Last week, he kind of played through it. He got a 0, right? So I do know that's concerning. They missed each other in the end zone. So, that could have been like a salvage thing if they hit that. So Rome has hit a few times on this year. Brian Thomas Jr. has not really hit, right? He's barely hit. He hit like one time. So the upside has been shown more in Rome. They're both slightly injured. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is more injured, but that's speculation. I would personally want Rome over BTJ. Hopefully that helps you, James. But let me know. Much love to you. Drop a like if you can. Uh, much appreciated. General says, don't know if we've seen it. Harborough said Hampton won't be till week 12. I mean, we had to kind of assume that, right? Like I feel like that was kind of a given. Um because like uh he went out in what, like week 6 or something like that. So I kind of and he got injured, they even said they're like, we don't think this is a 4-week timeline. So I personally agree um that I think week 12 is generous, right? I think that's generous. I don't even know if he'll make it there. Generals also says Romo Dunze. So yes, go with Romo Dunze, James. July, how are you? How are you, July? You got offered James Cook and Chuba for Javonte and Zay, except ooh. So in this scenario, Chuba's kind of a throwaway, if how I perceive this, okay? So the question is essentially like, how much more do we believe in James Cook than Javonte? And then Zay Flowers, like, what are you doing with him, right? Roster build can play into this question. Is this a fair trade? Kinda, yeah, because James Cook is probably the best player in this, right? Is this overpaying a little bit for James Cook? I think so, but it all depends on the roster build, right? Because like if you look at the profile of who Zay Flowers is, and I don't know what he is to your team, based on what this looks like, it kind of looks like Zay Flowers is a guy sitting on your bench half the time. But correct me where I'm wrong, July, right? And so there's consolidation trades where, like, let's say Zay Flowers was sitting on your bench the entire time, right? The entire time. Then that's dead value, right? And you would be looking to consolidate. We look at my, it is here, right? We look at where I'm at here on the left side of my screen, right? And James Cook and Javonte Williams are right next to each other. Yes, James Cook had the bye. He's a little bit injured. Javonte Williams is on his bye right now. So, maybe there's 2 points separation a game between them two. So that's what I mean by it's a little bit of an overpay, right? Because you do believe through the rest of the season that James Cook is probably the better runner than Javonte Williams, but it's close, right? You look at their average points per game, 18.2 versus 15.9. It's pretty close. So to upgrade for 2 points for a position, to give up Zay Flowers for Chuba Hubbard, we realistically look at it, he's probably not going to do anything unless something happens to Rico Dowdle, right? Zay Flowers is your wide receiver 2-ish, right? With upside but a low floor. So James Cook and Javonte Williams are right next to each other. So it's close. It's a little bit of an overpay, I would say, July. I think that's a bit of an overpay. But let's look at the rest of the season schedule too, right? Just to really check everything out. James Cook, Dolphins this week plus matchup. Bucks, Texans, kind of hard matchup. Steelers is good. Bengals is good. Patriots, Browns, Eagles, all hard matchups. So James Cook has hard matchups in 5 of his last 7 games. That's kind of a tough schedule, okay? Um, let's look at the Dallas Cowboys schedule as well. They got the Raiders, they got the Eagles, they got the Chiefs, they got the Lions. Okay, so they got not a crazy easy schedule, but they got a slightly easier schedule than the Bills do. So, is it semi-fair? Yes, July. This is a semi-fair trade. Um, it's an overpay though. And I personally would not take that overpay because James Cook's schedule is not better than Javante's, if that makes sense. They're both about the same for what they've done on this season. Yes, you probably believe Cook is the better runner in the duality of a season, but he has a harder schedule. So the only reason I would pay up would be for like a better schedule and an equal caliber running back. So if we look at the running backs in this range, right? Josh Jacobs, maybe he has a better schedule. I'm not sure, right? But he's in that same range. Jamar Gibbs in that same range. Does he have a better schedule? Rico Dowdle, right? Who has a better schedule that's in the same? That's the only reason I would up pay by giving Zay Flowers as well. I hope that helps you, July. Drop a like if you can, much appreciated. Let me know if that brings up any other questions. All right. James says in full PPR, if Nick Chubb does not play this week, what do you think about Woody Marks on your bench versus Jacksonville? I guess the question is who are you playing him over? Right? Who are you playing him over? And I'm going to bring up some stats for you to help you make this decision, right? So Woody Marks seems like he should have be doing well, right? But he just didn't do anything besides like that one game. So it is a little concerning. What's more concerning to me though is the matchup. So when you look at how last week we talked about like Broncos versus Houston, we could envision a slow pace game, not with much scoring, and that's kind of what happened, right? This game, Houston versus the Jags, might be similar. Think about it like this: the quarterback CJ Stroud is out probably with concussion, right? So you don't envision them being able to pass as well, right? Texans play good defense, so they're probably going to want to slow the game down. The Jags also have a decent defense, and it's actually their running defense that's good. If you look at the Jags, they're number 3 here in least amount of yards allowed to the running back. They only allowed 4 touchdowns to the running back, the Jags. And the Texans are a good defense too, right? So I envision again in this game, the Jags versus the Texans, a slower paced game here. So I don't know who you would be playing Woody Marks over, James, but just the opportunity, I don't think it's good because it is against Jacksonville, who is one of the better run defenses. I hope that makes sense. Hopefully that helps you. Drop a like if you can, or let me know if that brings up any more questions, James. All right, Nico says, you trade Kyron for Pittman, DK, and Monangai. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this comes down to a depth question, right? Kyron's probably the best if Swift comes back in this, but that's so much value on the other end of the table, right? That's so much value. It's like the only way that Kyron makes sense in this, like to receive Kyron in this trade, is if all these other guys are basically sitting on your bench doing nothing, right? And you're trying to consolidate. But the side receiving Pittman, DK, and Monangai would almost easily take that. Like, I hope I'm understanding this right, Nico, but I 100% would take this trade. You appreciate it. It's nice actually having someone that knows what they're talking about, is very in depth. Well, thank you so much for that feedback, Jeff. I really, really appreciate that. I hope that helped you. Much love back to you. Much love back to you. Nico says you traded Kyron for Pittman, DK, and Monangai. Currently, wide receivers are Rice and Shakir. Your running backs are now ETN, Monangai, Cooks, and Judkins. Dude, you are sitting nice, Nico. That yeah, 100%. 100% you could do that trade, right? I was hesitant only to say, right, if Kyron is very good value, but here in this case, now you're going to be playing Rashi Rice, right, with Pittman every week without hesitation, unless you want something different. So you upgraded so many points going from Shakir or whoever you were playing as your other wide receiver to Pittman. And then it's not like you're quote unquote downgrading that much from Kyron to Judkins or Kyron to Monangai if DeAndre Swift's not playing. And now you have good depth. So Nico, 100%. Great trade, Nico. A on the trade, Nico. That is great. Drop a like if you can, man. Much love there. Jeff says really full of knowledge of fantasy, which is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I love talking football. Love talking football here before all the games. So here for you Sundays, Thursdays, and Mondays. Hopefully could see you then. I still make bad choices, but do as I say, not as I do. Not as I do. I'm an emotional person too, and I can make bad decisions as well, but it's easier to talk about it when it's not your own team, right? So I really appreciate that, Jeff. I really, really appreciate that. Hope to keep seeing you around. Jason says you're 7-2. Good. You send Rico, White, and Harrison for Jamar Chase, Hampton, and Woody. Do you win or no? Depends. Is it a fair trade? Yes. Would I do it? Depends. And this is what I mean, right? If you need I'm ranting and your team is right below, so let me just read this. Your running backs are Barkley and Kyron. Okay. Your wide receivers are Chase, London. I assume this is PPR too, right? I assume, but you could correct me if I'm wrong. Chase and London and Nico. So this sounds like a 3 wide receiver league. And your flex are Sutton and Javonte. Okay. This is fine. In this case, it's fine. And I am speaking in the sense that this is a PPR league and it's a 3 wide receiver league, Jason. But correct me if I'm wrong. But if this is the case as a 3 wide receiver league and it is PPR, this is a good trade, right? I was thinking initially in terms of 2 wide receiver, two running back in a flex, where I'd be like, man, having Rico as depth would be really nice, right? And Harrison's kind of coming alive. But if it's a 3 wide receiver league and it's PPR, stacking Jamar Chase, Drake London, that's awesome there. And then you have enough depth to be having Javonte in case, Barkley or Kyron needs to be flipped out. So 100%, I believe this is good. Honestly, I don't know if you're going to get any value out of Omari and Hampton. It would be nice, right? But Jen Will and I were just talking about it, that he's probably not coming back until after our fantasy season or at the very end, if that. So that trade was mainly Rico Rico for Rico for Chase, right? Uh, which is fine, right? 3 wide receiver league and PPR, that's great. So I think that's good there. Jason, I think you did win. Um, White, we he might hold value if Bucky is what's the word? Um, really injured, but your real value here is Jamar Chase for Rico and Harrison, right? And you're hoping that Hampton comes back. That's what you're looking at, but I like it. I think it's good for a 3 wide receiver league and 2 flex, and if it's PPR. Much love and celebrations to you. Drop a like if you can, Jason. Jeff says, "Do you believe Chase Brown has a good rest of season schedule? That's why you want him." Yeah, I agree. And just look at what happened, right? When Joe Flacco came back, he all of a sudden had, multiple receptions, like 10 targets in a game, and a field goal is up. Field goal is no good. 59-yard field goal is no good, so it's still tied 7-7. So I think Chase Brown has, he it was a roller coaster of emotion for people who owned him, right? And you probably targeted him at the right time because targeted, drafted in the 2nd to 3rd round, terrible value. Joe Flacco comes back, and now he's looking like he's back at that value, right? Of a 2nd and 3rd round running back. And um I haven't checked his schedule, but I believe you that if he has a good schedule the rest of the season, you know, and I think Samaje Perine is hurt too, right? From what I remember. Yeah, Samaje Perine has a high ankle sprain and he'll need a couple weeks to recover. So you're essentially getting a full backfield, right? Right, Jeff, with Chase Brown now at this point. So you got the Steelers, good matchup. Patriots, that's a tough one. Ravens, we're not sure yet. Bengals might be tough. And then in the playoffs, you got the Dolphins and the Cardinals. So even though if the Ravens are tough or the Bills are tough, Chase Brown should still be able to get it through the air, right? And if they're trailing all these games, he should be getting some passing work. So I don't mind it, even though they're semi-tough defenses. For a pass-catching running back, he should be fine. You're playing Marks, backup QB, hopefully a good amount of dump off. Wait, does that mean you're playing against Woody Marks, or you're playing against Mills, or you have to play him? But I mean, hopefully dump offs, right? You're sort of forced to play Marks this week. Okay. I mean, it is what it is, right? If you have to play them, then you have to play them. Let me think. Oh, because I guess you're scared to play Singletary 2, I would guess. But yeah, I mean, you can go for it, right? You could go for it. We'll see what that turns out to be. Ridiculous value for Kyron. Yes, it is. That is ridiculous value. Your PPR flex decisions between Woody Marks and Dalton Kincaid. Based on the comments, it seems like Kincaid is the best option. So Kincaid is a touchdown required play, right? So and an interception by the Broncos defense? Was that an interception by the Broncos defense, or was that a fumble by Ashton Jeanty? There was definitely a turnover, though. They got the camera on Jeanty, so it's looking like it's on Jeanty. So it was a pass off the hands of Jeanty and an interception. Oh, man. So that's going to go against Geno Smith. but that was technically the fault of Ashton Jeanty. Dang, dang, dang. Okay, so back to the analysis. Back to the analysis. Sorry, I got distracted by that awesome play. So, all right. Again, Woody marks you to be hoping for you'd be hoping for dump offs, right? You'd be hoping for dump offs. The Bills are playing the Dolphins. And let's look at this. Oh, I have it up. The rushing defense is up. I think the Dolphins are one of the worst rushing defenses by giving up. So I expect James Cook to have a big game. And hopefully Dalton Kincaid can work off of that. Here, let's put up the passing defense for a sec. So the passing defenses of the Dolphins, nothing too scary. Right? So Dolphins give up a bunch of yards and a bunch of touchdowns. So you could foresee Kincaid catching a touchdown. I guess the only safety if Nick Chubb doesn't play is, if Woody Marks gets, let's say, 15 carries and 2 receptions, and he only runs for 3.5 to 4 yards, 3.5 yards a carry, but he gets 15 touches, right? He can get something like, let's say, 50 yards and 2 receptions, so he might get 7 fantasy points, as a floor. And if Kincaid doesn't catch a touchdown, it's possible he gets less than that. So if you're projected to win by a lot, then maybe you could play Marks. But if we look at, Kincaid's history this year, right? So if we pull up his history for this year, Dalton Kincaid, on the games that he's played, because he missed some games, right? On the games that he's played, he's caught touchdowns in 4 and 0 in 2. So it's close. It's very close. I think if I was tied or if I was projected to win, I think I would play, and I had boom potential players. If I was tied or I was projected to win and I had boom potential players, I think I would play Woody Marks. But if I needed points, I think Kincaid. I'm not sure, though. That one is a coin flip for me, if I'm being honest, James. That one's really, really close. So we'll see what happens if Chubb doesn't play. Because if I look at Marx's if I look at his usage, let's see. I mean, 2.7 carries, no receptions. Yeah, his floor is not safe. And even when he had 10 carries, he had 15 yards. He really might run 3 yards a carry. I think Kincaid. I'm gonna say Kincaid on that. It's so close though. It's so close. The only way Marks I think has it is if he gets dump offs. Oh man. And your quarterback is Josh Allen for that stack. I guess you got to go for that stack. Pessimistic now. It will hit. Bo having 200 yards is risky. Yes, that is true. That is true. We can always pray, Jen Will. July, would I trade Javonte and CeeDee Lamb for CMC? No. No. No, 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 no. No, no, no. You have CeeDee, Rice, Garrett Wilson, and Zay. as wide receivers. July, what's your running back depth? You have, because you keep trying to offer Javonte, it looks like. And it looks like you're trying to get a running back. So help me understand what you're trying to accomplish, July. Um, I'm what based on your team, and if it's only a 2 wide receiver league and a flex, yes, you do have excess value of wide receivers that you could upgrade to a running back. I would not do the CD and Javonte for CMC. I think that's way overpaying. Um, what I would do is I would offer the lowest and then tell them I am willing to negotiate if they need, right? So I would offer Javonte and Zay Flowers, right, for CMC. And if they're like, no, then be like, well, what about someone else? Like, would you take Garrett Wilson, right? And then I would try to up my way there, but I would not. It's called, or I don't know if you've read the book or not, so please excuse me if I'm over explaining. But there's this book, right? Never Split the Difference. It's The Art of Negotiating by Chris Voss, and he was an FBI negotiator. And the main one of them, there's multiple takeaways from the book, but what's relevant to you is called anchoring, right? And so when we're negotiating the trade, you anchor on your side of the trade, and then you know what you're willing to negotiate up with. So in this case, if you want CMC, CeeDee Lamb is the best out of there, right? You could argue Rashee Rice is the best out of there, but like CeeDee's proven it year over year, and it's arguable between those two who's the best, right? But for sure, Zay Flowers is the lowest, right? So what you would do in the art of negotiation is you would offer Javonte plus Zay because that's your best trade, right? Without looking ridiculous, right? Like your best trade is offering Javonte for CMC, but no one's taking that, right? Or Zay Flowers for CMC, no one's taking that, right? You have to be somewhat fair, right? So Javonte plus Zay is somewhat fair, right? But then you have to be willing to negotiate, and then you could say like, oh well, I could do Javonte plus Garrett Wilson, right? But I would not do CD or Rice because those two guys by themselves, you know, in a PPR league, let's say your PPR, are can be, you know, the plus differential in the wide receiver position as much as CMC over Javonte, right? Because that's what you're looking essentially for. So let's look at that breakdown real quick, just so we know the exact number. And your running backs are Javonte, Gibbs, and Jacobs. Okay, you're 8-1. What? Oh, you're just okay. Let me finish this train of thought before I go on a random tangent. So let's look at the plus differential, right? I brought this up. So you are looking at CMC versus Javonte Williams. So Javonte Williams is 16 points, and let's say Christian McCaffrey's 22 points a game. So that's 6 points a difference for that position, right? That single position is 6 points a difference. But having Rashee Rice and CeeDee Lamb versus whatever two wide receivers you would be matching up against in the playoffs. Go look at the second place team or the third place team and their two best wide receivers. I can almost guarantee you that your CD plus Rice stack will probably be 6 points better than almost anybody else in the league, unless they have like Jamar Chase plus Puka Nacua or something like that, right? Like you're probably ahead there, and that downgrade, if you gave away CD to Garrett Wilson, is a lot more risky, I would say. So And here's the other thought for you, July, right? Is you are 8-1. So what you are doing right now is working, and you're gonna make the playoffs, and what you are stacking for is the playoffs, right? Now, when it comes to playoffs, there's two thoughts. You could do exactly what you're trying to do and consolidate to the guy who is Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, right? Who are 6 points ahead against the next person in the position. The other thing you could be looking at is strength of schedule if you're trying to get rid of Javonte Williams, right? And who has that, right? And so that's kind of the last thought I throw out at you there. Your team is stacked, bro, right? Like your team is already stacked. So I see what you're basically trying to do, but maybe it might have to be like what you're doing. It makes sense, but I would not overpay that much to try to accomplish what you're getting at, because you never know in depth, right? You never know with depth. I hate to say it like this, right? But let's say you gave away CD and Javonte, but then let's say Rashee Rice gets hurt and Garrett Wilson is still semi-hurt, right? Now you're kind of screwed, right? Or let's say Christian McCaffrey ends up getting hurt and now you don't have any depth and you gave away CD, right? I hate projecting injury, but I'm just throwing these scenarios in there to say, like, you have a lot of depth right now, so everything is comfortable to try to consolidate and give away. But you got to be careful to a certain point. But I would offer the lower end of what you were trying to accomplish, right? Javonte Plazay, and then negotiate upwards if they wanted to do that, right? But I would not give away CD. I would almost rather, if they pushed back, I would almost rather be like, okay, well then I'll give you like let's look back at the chart. Right. Let's look back at the chart of the main. I would rather give you, let's say, Zay and Gibbs, right? For Zay and Gibbs for Christian McCaffrey rather than CD plus Javonte, because Javonte's it is up there, but CD's it is one of those top 5 wide receivers, right? I know I'm rambling a bit, but I hope that makes sense, July. Hopefully that helps you. Let me know if or if not. But yeah, your team as is already pretty stacked. Not sure if I don't think I would give up that much to consolidate, but at least try to make it. Hopefully that helps you. Drop a like if you can, but much appreciated. I want to know though. I want to know if you end up going through with that trade. So make sure if you go with that trade, you end up tuning back in another time and letting me know if that goes through. But hopefully that works for you, July. Let me know. Let me know. Celebrations for you. Much appreciated. General says they have no hands. James says, super thanks. Earlier in the week, your trade was accepted, giving up Lamar Jackson and RJ Harvey and getting Devon Achane. Oh, let's go. That is quite nice there. And now you have Josh Allen. Let's go, James. You are welcome. That makes me smile and happy right there. That is good to hear. I know RJ Harvey has some great upside, but you locked in. I mean, let's go back to this chart, right? Devon Achane is the number 3 guy on the year, right? Devon Achane is the number 3 flex on the year. So you got a good running back there. So No more stale value, right? No more stale value of I know it hurts to give up Lamar Jackson, but you definitely got him. So good job, James. Much appreciate the love. Much appreciate you too. Great trade, James. Appreciate the love. Glad it worked. Let's go. Let's go. So happy. So happy when our community does well. So glad to hear July's 8-1. So glad to hear that James got a good trade for Devon Achane. Man, that is a success story. I have not heard many people able to get Devon Achane. It's like the hardest people to get right now, right? Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan, and Devon Achane. Those guys are like very hard to get. So that's great. That is great to hear that you were able to get that value. All right, so the Broncos kicked the field goal. They're up 10-7. End of the third quarter. Who would have thought the Raiders would have a chance to win this game? Who would have thought? But unfortunately for Genwell, and I'm sorry, Mr. Genwell, but you are in a very tough spot probably for your 8-way parlay. And who would have thought that Bo Nix's passing yardage would be the hardest thing to hit? Holy smokes. Well, I'm going to tune into those stats right now, but let me just copy and paste this score since they scored a field goal. But holy smokes, who would have thought that that Bo Nix would need 25 more yards to get 150 yards? Wait, Geno Smith is also not hitting it, it looks like, huh? J.K. Dobbins looks like he got there. All right, so Geno Smith is looking for it right now. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. No more stale. Well, I didn't mean it in a bad way. It's you just can't play two quarterbacks, right? You can't play two quarterbacks and you turn that into something that's must start every week. You're never gonna sit Devon Achane, right? You're never gonna sit Devon Achane at this point. So thank you for the love for the show. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love of the show. Much appreciate all your questions. It's fun. It's fun for me. So much appreciated. Much appreciated, James. So Genwell, let me check in on your parlay. But man, nobody would have guessed, right? Nobody would have guessed. If you were at the start of this game, would anybody guess that Bo Nix would have trouble getting to 200 yards against the Raiders? No way, right? Man, no way. But this game has been a lot less volume. I told somebody to start Bo Nix against my Raiders, but man, what is going on right now? What? I cannot believe this is like real life right now. I really can't. I cannot believe that the Raiders, we have a chance to win this game. I thought we would be losing by 10 points already. 10 more than 10 points. But we have the chance to take the lead here. We have the chance to take the lead. We control the possession of the game. It was hard giving up Lamar, but you felt like he was wasting an asset on the bench, and now you can lock out an Achane with any reservations. I know it's hard to give up Lamar. It's so hard to give up either one of those guys, Lamar or Josh Allen, right? But by the end of the year, you can only play one quarterback. So I'm glad you have no reservations now to start Achan, and hope he does you wonders. So much love to you, James. Thank you so much for sharing your opinions, questions, and everything like that. Geno Smith is hurt walking off the field. Best luck to your team and great to start Achan weekly. All right. All right. Geno Smith is now hurt, which Genwell, I think Genwell's parlay is 100% over now because of that. And the Raiders are going backwards on the handoff. Kenny Pickett, a total of 15 touchdowns in 3 seasons of play. So Kenny Pickett in for Geno Smith. Kenny Pickett for Geno Smith, 3rd and 11, shotgun formation. July says, I'll answer you in a sec, July. Let me just see if. Okay, nothing happened on the play. Do you think you can get Achan for Zay and Javonte? I would try. I was literally just talking to James here. He just got Devon Achan for Lamar Jackson and RJ Harvey. So he made a good trade for him there. If you look at the left side of my screen, Devon Achan, bro, I know you wanted Christian McCaffrey, but Devon Achan's the number 3 flex player on the year. So yes, Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor are in a league of their own right now. They're in a league of their own right now. But Devon Achan is doing just fine, right? For a running back. In terms of like how much better is he than Javonte? I would take him over Cook in the sense that Achan gets so much work in the passing game that if your league is PPR, that's where the safe floor comes from, right? I forgot if you were a PPR or not, but if you're any type of PPR, even if it's half point PPR, Devon Achan gets so much freaking work in the passing game that like I think he's one of the more safe, right, running backs for a playoff schedule regardless of rest of season schedule, right? Because let's look at Devon Achan's reception total. His it's insane. He gets like 15 carries a game plus 6 receptions, 5 receptions, 3, 4, 6 receptions, 1, 7, 8. It's like you're basically locking in 4 receptions a game, right? With Devon Achan. So it's basically close. Christian McCaffrey is unheard of with how many receptions a game he's getting. But that will probably change a little bit, right? Once Purdy comes back, if Purdy comes back, and or if either Pearsall and or Ayuk comes back. So I think Achan is safe. Now, do I think you can get him? That always depends on the makeup of the team. So my best suggestion for people when they're looking at consolidating and trying to find the best players. So go look at the teams that have Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achan, Bijan Robinson. Those are the teams that you said you were looking at. Maybe even Rico Dowdle, right? Because I do think Rico Dowdle low key is him. But so you're looking for the players that you personally, July, think are, as you would say, guaranteed better, right? Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achan. Then you're looking on their team, right, to just make sure that is not like their sole running back, right? Like make sure that they have at least 3 running backs. And then because you're giving them Javonte Williams, they wouldn't necessarily not like it. But I think Devon Achan's a good guy to target, right? So I think all those guys you know, on this sheet here, in some way, shape, or form, you could argue are going to be worth it to have as running backs at the end of the year. Then you just have to look at their rest of season schedule, right? Versus where's it at? This sheet, right? This sheet, the rest of season schedule versus um, this rushing defense to make sure that when your playoffs come up, you're not playing like the Patriots and the Seahawks like every week, right? And the Texans, So I think Achan is a good one to target. I do think it's a good one to target. And it just depends on that person's roster buildup. If when you say, do I think they'll accept them? There's plenty of situations where they might accept it. Maybe they're missing a wide receiver too, right? And then that's when your value of either Zay Flowers or Garrett Wilson would make sense to them. So go ahead and try, right? There's no harm in trying. Definitely think it's a possibility. So go for it, July. Go for it. Just double check all those names that I mentioned, right? Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achan, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. Maybe somebody's willing to give them up. Hopefully that helps you, July. Let me know if you get any other thoughts or questions. All right, James says, you have a free spot on your bench. Do you pick up a backup quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, or wide receiver Tez Johnson in full PPR? So I think Josh Allen already had his bye, right? So your backup quarterback situation for Josh Allen, you're basically saying, is he going to get injured, right? Because you're never, like, no matter how bad the matchup is, you're not sitting Josh Allen, right? Even if he was playing the Falcons, right? Even if he was playing the best pass defense, you're never sitting him, right? So you picking up a backup quarterback, it may only make sense to me if you think he's going to get injured and or you think you could potentially pick somebody up to package in a trade again, right? So as a backup quarterback, I would not do it. I think that's just wasting a bench spot unless you're going to package him in a trade or you're trying to hedge your bet thinking somebody's hurt. But if there's enough streaming options, even if they get hurt, there should be enough streaming options unless you're in a super deep league, right? But if JJ McCarthy's free, it doesn't sound like you're in a deep league and that you could stream. So I would not do the JJ McCarthy option. So Harold Fannin in a 10-team league is free. Let me see. Who was your tight end? Your tight end is Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid. I'm trying to remember who your wide receivers are too. So Harold Fannin is an interesting play. But you have Dalton Kincaid, and if you're playing him in your flex, it sounds like you have another tight end as well. So I don't know. You would not package in a trade. Yeah, then I would not pick up JJ. Harold Fannin is also only interesting then if you're going to package in a trade. But if you're not going to package in a trade, then Tez Johnson sounding like the best option or pickup. Now, Tez Johnson, right? I think he will maintain some value. Let's say until any of the other wide receivers come back. McMillan, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Once any of the Dalton Kincaid is your tight end. Yeah, because I don't know how much trade value either of these guys would have, right? Dalton Kincaid or Harold Fannin. So you're kind of just holding them just to hold a position. Tez Johnson is, and I don't know if you ever would bench Kincaid or not, right? Um, so here's where my head's at with Tez Johnson. I think he holds value in the next couple weeks if you need a backup wide receiver, or if maybe even you're potentially thinking in like a pinch to start him over like a Woody Marks or, something like that. I could potentially see that. If you have a free bench spot, one of the other things you might consider instead of Tez Johnson, and I don't know the availability and things like that in your leagues, but you know, we I still don't know. Have we heard anything on Saquon yet? Let me see. Oh, it says he's active. Okay. So he's a full participant. Like where I was going with that, your wide receivers are McConkey, London, and Garrett Wilson. So you're probably not playing Tez Johnson over any of those guys. Oh, in your league there are 3 flex positions and you do not play a tight end. Okay. Okay. So if you don't have to play a tight end and there's no tight end premium, I would imagine then tight ends don't really carry that much value. Tight ends really don't carry that much value. Um so I think Tez is the best play in that situation. My only other thought for you, James, was like if you look here, let me pull up mine for example. Especially if the waiver is this thin, right? If you're gonna play Tez Johnson, then disregard what I'm gonna say if you need him for your 3 flexes, right? But um let me run through this for you as just a exercise, right? So, um, what am I doing? Like, we found out that we found out that um Saquon is playing, right? But how there was a little uncertainty um before if he was injured or not. Like Tank Bigsby could have been an interesting pickup because if he was injured, he would get the full backfield and then he would be able to be uh thrown into your thrown into your flex, right? So I almost think, right, that if like let's say you're never going to play Tez Johnson, right? I don't know if you are or are not. Um, but I would say your best option if you have a free bench spot is picking up someone like let's say Isaiah Pacheco was free uh in your league because he went on bye and he's out and he's injured, right? Somebody like that. Somebody who is a backup running back um where the starter is somewhat in question. Even like a Brashad Smith, the backup to Kansas City, where it's like, does he just randomly start getting more work? You know, these the guy from Washington, what's his name? Oh my God, why can't I think of his name right now? Rodriguez, right? Rodriguez, like Chris Rodriguez, because all of a sudden uh JCM is not looking like they're relying on him, right? So I almost think those kind of plays for your specific situation might make sense. I mean, I don't know if Troy Franklin's probably picked up by now, right? But like if I go deeper at the wide receiver position, um like taking a swing on the Green Bay, one of the, I don't know if any of the Green Bay guys are left. Um, I don't know if Alec Pierce is available. Uh, let's see. But yeah, like I think out of those players, Tez Johnson is your best choice. I just don't know the long-term value of him based on you having those other three wide receivers. I'm not sure if he fits in. I hope that kind of makes sense. Um, you don't play a tight end in your league. Thinking about ditching Kincaid for someone else. You hear his route rate's fairly low. So Kincaid is basically a touchdown or bust guy. However, his touchdown percentage is very high. So when they say you hear route rate is fairly low, basically there's two things when it comes to route rate, right? Is like how many routes do they run out of the total potential offensive plays that are run, right? So it's like if they run, let's say 60 plays in total, just for easy numbers, right? 30 run plays and 30 pass plays, and this person is running routes, on field 30 plays, and it's 50%. They're on the field for 50% of the routes, right? And then there's another thing of the routes that they do run. How many yards are they getting per route that they run, which is a lot of times related to how far down the field their routes are going, right? Because you don't want a guy who just sits on the line of scrimmage and he gets 5 passes at the line of scrimmage. You'd rather have the guy who, runs down the field 8 yards to get his passes, right? So that matters to me a lot more in players who are not built like Kincaid. How Kincaid is built is he's only on the field like 50 to 60% of the time, right? But when he's on the field, he is Josh Allen's number one target when Josh Allen is passing. And he's typically looking for him the most in the red zone, which are the highest value targets. So sometimes those metrics don't necessarily equal the player. If you look at the whole overall field, yes, those metrics matter. But Buffalo is such a weird offense that metric to me it doesn't stick as hard because they run the football so much with James Cook and Josh Allen. And then their passing plays, they're not using passing plays like a JSN where they're moving the chains for every 15 yards, right? They're using the passing plays for either big chunks or the touchdown. So it's a little different. It's a little different for Kincaid, I would say. And I think Kincaid's value holds more weight in standard leagues and it holds more weight in the tight end position. But in your case, I could see you wanting to drop him because, like, if you could find another wide receiver, right, who has just as many games with touchdowns as Kincaid, then it makes sense to move off of him because if you can get more receptions in a PPR league, you potentially have more upside. I hope I'm kind of making sense there, right? Where like Kincaid is very good for a tight end position on a fantasy roster because all you're looking for is touchdowns. You're not looking for 8 receptions as a tight end. That's not what the position's built for, right? The position is built for 3 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown or no touchdown. That's basically what that position is built for, right? Which in a flex is not necessarily what you're looking for unless you're looking for a safe week. But maybe you could flip them for a safe running back. Or if you're looking for the upside, you're looking for a wide receiver, right? So your running backs right now are Kyron, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, J.K. Dobbins. So you're playing those four guys all weeks. Okay, wow, you have Omarion Hampton and Trey Benson. Okay, so when Trey Benson comes back, he can be a viable option, right? And hopefully when Hampton comes back, he'll slot in, but we're not sure. Available running backs are Blake Corum and Emmanuel Wilson. Was there another interception? There is another interception. Wow. So available PPR running backs are Blake Corum, Emmanuel Wilson, and Brian Robinson. Yeah. So no problem on the questions. It's fun talking like this. So I think exactly as you said, I would almost take any one of those three guys over Johnson with your specific roster build, right? Because in your roster build, you're playing Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, J.K. Dobbins, and let's say even without Omarion Hampton and Trey Benson right now, you would be playing London, Garrett Wilson, and McConkey, right? Like you're not going to bench McConkey probably for Johnson, right? You're not benching London. You're not benching Garrett Wilson. You're probably not benching Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Devon Achane, or J.K. Dobbins, right? So I don't know if that covers all your positions or if there's one more, right? But then if you're debating between like Woody Marks, Tajay Spears, or Johnson, it's just another what if to me, right? Whereas if you could get somebody with like way high upside, like I know they're not available in your league probably, right? But if Troy Franklin or Alec Pierce or somebody like that was available, that would make more sense, right? I know they're probably not available in your league, right? As a wide receiver. I was just saying that in terms of wide receivers who are available. That's why I would choose a wide receiver, right? But I would almost rather have any one of these running backs, because running backs, it is rough, right? I'm surprised the Christian McCaffrey owner doesn't have Brian Robinson, because with how much work Christian McCaffrey is getting, that's tough. Emmanuel Wilson, Josh Jacobs is banged up every week right now. So he's potentially worth holding as well. Blake Corum's getting work on a weekly basis. But I think if you're looking for the home run plays, holding either Emmanuel Wilson or Brian Robinson, of course Kyron could get injured too, right? So don't get me wrong. But right now, Josh Jacobs is kind of banged up. So Emmanuel Wilson's a little attractive to me as a handcuff. And then Brian Robinson's attractive as a handcuff just because, I don't want Christian McCaffrey to get hurt, but he's getting so much work. He's getting so much work that he is also a very high value handcuff as well. Blake Corum is the best handcuff for Kyron Williams. And he is getting work. So if you want to lean that way, you definitely can. I don't think he's injured though at all, right? Kyron Williams. Yeah, I don't think Kyron Williams is injured at all, but I believe Jacobs is. Let me see. No, it doesn't look like he's injured either right now. So yeah, any one of those, it just all depends on who you think is the best. Like when it would come down to a backup decision like this, I would go with who do I think is the best who is the best backup based on their skill, right? So, you know, Brian Robinson was a starting running back before. Definitely has value there. Emmanuel Wilson looked pretty good. Blake Corum looks pretty good. They all look pretty good, right? So it's all close for me. It's all close. It just depends on who you think um, maintains the best value. I personally would hold. Okay, let me see also their end of season schedules. Let me also see their end of season schedules, right? So the Lions play this next week 49ers. They play the Seahawks, that's tough. Bucks is tough. Panthers is kind of okay. Cardinals is okay. Okay, the Rams have a tough end of season schedule, so I'm scratching Blake Corum. He has a hard running defense every single week except one for the rest of the season after the 49ers. Seahawks, Bucks, Panthers is and Cardinals is but they're still not easy. Then in the playoffs, it's Lions, Seahawks, Falcons. That's atrocious. That is terrible for so even if he had the opportunity, he has the hardest opportunity, right? Packers, end of season schedule. Ravens, not bad. Bears, Broncos is kind of tough. Bears is good. Lions, Vikings. So Packers have a hit and miss, but a decently easier schedule. 49ers have, let's see, the Rams is tough this week. Cardinals is okay. Panthers and Browns is tough. Titans is good. Colts isn't bad. Bears is pretty good. Okay, so the 49ers have a pretty good schedule too. So it's then between 49ers and Green Bay. I would take. I almost spoke without checking his stats. I was gonna say I would take Brian Robinson just out of comfort, knowing that he can handle a lead back role. But I didn't check Emmanuel Wilson's stats real quick. Hold on. 6 carry. Okay, it's not like he ran away with anything. I would go with Brian Robinson. For the backup to Christian McCaffrey. That's who I'm thinking has that best opportunity. The Rams, they just have a terrible end of the year schedule. Both Green Bay and San Francisco have pretty decent rest of season schedules, so it's close. So then I looked at Emmanuel Wilson's yards per carry, when he had the opportunities, and it's not like he did crazy fantastic. So just based on that, I'm going to lean on Christian McCaffrey, as they seem to, have not only a good offensive system, but Brian Robinson has shown me before that he could at least run a full workload. So that's who I would go with. I hope that helps, James. Much love to you for all these questions. It was very, very fun and helpful. Let me know if that brought up any other questions or any other thoughts. But much love to you. Great job on your trade. Much love. Thanks so much, James. All the questions. I'd go with Robinson. Hopefully that helps you. Let me know if not. All right. So we got a few minutes left in this game. The Raiders missed a kick to tie the game. Boo. Boo, Raiders. Boo. Come on, guys. All right, but Bo Nixon teams rushing back to their own side of the field. They are up 10-7, 2 minutes 58 seconds left. First down. First down. First down. Max Crosby went a second early, so it's going to be first down and 5 for the Broncos. They just need 1 or 2 first downs, and they will win this game. You just picked up Brian Robinson. You were leaning that way, but didn't want to mention anything on all the commentary. Synced it. Well, that's good. That means we have similar trains of thought. So I'm glad it helps you, and you ended up picking. But many celebrations to you. Hopefully, ride this momentum and get to the playoffs, man. And much love. Hopefully, you end up winning your league. Hopefully you end up winning. Much love to you, James. Thanks so much for all the questions. Really, really appreciate you participating. Super fun and super helpful. I'm sure it helps other people out there too, you know? So thanks so much for all the questions. We got a 2nd and inches, 3rd down now for the Broncos. 2 minutes and 21 seconds left in this game. The Raiders have one more timeout. They are winning. The Broncos are winning 10-7 in this game. And Geno Smith is hoping for one more opportunity. They missed a field goal that could have tied it, which turned the ball over on downs. Good night, James. Have a good one. You too. Have a good one. Definitely want the Raiders to win, but don't want this to go to overtime because getting late. It's getting late. So hopefully we could get a pick 6 or something like that, and the Raiders could win, or a fumble 6. 3rd and inches. Here it goes. Bo Nix under center. Quarterback sneak. And he gets it. Quarterback sneak, and they get it. First down. First down. This game should be pretty much over at this point in time. Final timeout is taken. It's basically going to be over. Basically going to be over. 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. 1st and 10. No timeouts left by the Raiders. So let me do the math. So technically it won't be over. They will still have roughly 30 seconds left on the clock if the plays end dead and they both end inbounds after a couple seconds. So hopefully the Raiders can get the ball back. The Broncos are in field goal range. So it would have to be probably like a Hail Mary touchdown or something like that. But J.K. Dobbins might almost get the first down himself. Gets about 7. James says you're just hoping to make the playoffs this year for the first time. You're looking optimistic. You got from last place to 3rd currently. Nice. Great job making this push. You got a couple weeks left to seal it in the playoffs. Just stay fundamental with your decisions. Don't get cute. I got real cute with it last week, and I lost because of it. Well, no, I didn't lose because of it. The opponent was number 1 team and still went off, but bench Drake London because I wasn't sure if he was healthy or not. And Drake London was the best wide receiver on the week. So don't do things like that. Don't get cute because you think you're gonna outsmart, the system. So, but it sounds like you'll make it. Let's stay disciplined. Stay disciplined and be praying for you to win this week. So much love to you, James. Thank you so much for sharing, and great job bringing it up to third place. Great job, great job. Much love to you. Much love. All right. So looks like the 2-minute warning is going to come to an end, and the Raiders have to defend a 2nd and 3 now. 2nd and 3. All right, so 2nd and 3. Here we go. 2nd and 3. And the handoff goes, and it's a first down. Game is done. Game is over. What did they used to say? The butter is in the fridge. The jello is jiggling. Something like that. I forgot what the guy used to say, the NBA commentator. But the game is now over. It shall be over. So thanks so much, guys. Drop any last minute questions, but I will stay on for one more minute. But this game is basically over. What's up, Melp? How are you? Sutton's value. Oh, that's a tough question. So is the other guy startable? If you're talking about Troy Franklin, number 11, the answer is yes. Before today, Troy Franklin was already getting 8 targets a game, and if it's just like what must happen, like what you got to think about it from the defense's perspective, right? Everybody knows Sutton is the number 1 option, so they double team him, right? Or they create these type of zone coverages that cover him more heavily, and then Troy Franklin being the number 2 wide receiver, things open up for him to get extra opportunities and points, right? What is Sutton's value for the rest of the year? I think based on his name, he's high. Based on what is actually happening in the Broncos offense, he's not solid right now, right? So I personally think that if you could trade him for a high value, I would do it for Sutton. If you're asking me who you could potentially get, I'm not sure if you're looking for another wide receiver or if you are looking for, like essentially what you would be looking for, or if you're going to trade him for a, running back or something like that. But like if we pull up Courtland Sutton's like receptions and targets, right? He got targeted 4 times this game, 6, 10. So he's kind of getting the same amount of targets as Troy Franklin, but Troy Franklin is probably getting easier targets because Sutton is getting the Sauce Gardner or the Chris Gonzalez, right? The number 1. So, I think Sutton is kind of like a, I would say low end, like middle to low end wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. He has more upside than most wide receiver 2s just because he is so skilled. But I knocked him down to the middle to the lower wide receiver 2 just because, like, how the offense looks and what they're doing. It doesn't look like they're, like, using him. A wide receiver would be nice. Okay, so then if we're going in wide receivers, right, on the 2025 season, let's see. Where is Sutton? So Courtland Sutton is here. Like, he's in the range in terms of points scored of like Emeka Egbuka. You're not getting him. Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins. You're not getting any of these guys. Keenan Allen, you could get him, but I don't think you want him. Justin Jefferson. maybe a Chris Olave. You might be able to get Chris Olave for Courtland Sutton, or you're taking like Courtland Sutton and somebody on your bench and then trying to get Jalen Waddle, right? Or get T. Higgins, get Michael Pittman, get Devontae Adams. You know, maybe you could go 1-for-1 for like Lad McConkey or Devontae Smith. I would say, but I would try to move off Sutton if I could, if I'm being honest. And you're either like I said, either packaging him together with somebody on your bench for like Jalen Waddle. You could try to go straight up. I don't think no one's gonna take that. But maybe Chris Olave they might go straight up for 1-for-1. Maybe Lad McConkey they might go 1-for-1. Devontae Smith they might go 1-for-1. DK Metcalf they probably go 1-for-1. I don't know if you think these guys are too low in terms. Maybe Rome Odunze they might go 1-for-1, right? But that's kind of the range you're looking at. Otherwise, you're going to be packaging together like Courtland Sutton plus like a flexible running back to try to get Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, or somebody like that. I hope that makes sense. Drop a like if that helped you, Melp, or any other comments or questions if that didn't answer anything. Wow, Bauer sold me. At least you had Broncos defense. Dude, Giannis. I think your name is Giannis, or is it Giannis Glazer? I think nobody would have what's the word? Doubted you on that one. I mean, coming off the game that he had, right? Like how could you not think that he was gonna do something, right? This was just a snoozer of a game, 7-10. That says it all, right? That is just a snoozer of a game, 7-10. There's nothing. You love how you benched him last week and then you lost, dude. That is fantasy football for you, though. That is fantasy football for you. Where the weeks you benched, like that's my season this year. I feel like every week I lost, my bench basically scored as many points as my starting team. So I feel you on that. I feel you on that. There's nothing, right? There's nothing you could do about that. But appreciate the comment, Giannis. Appreciate the comments. James says you definitely won't smell anyone. That's why your show is big help and all. Well, thank you so much, James. Have a good night. Really, really appreciate the feedback and the encouragement and love. Much love to you all. Melp says probably gonna flex Troy Franklin. Okay. And then you're gonna keep Sutton in your wide receiver 2 slot. DK is dependent on the touchdown. He is dependent on the touchdown. He is dependent on the touchdown, but you look at how many weeks he hit the touchdown and he's hit it quite a bit, He's hit it quite a bit. I think Jalen Waddle and Chris Olave are really interesting wide receiver 2s. Jalen Waddle more so than Chris Olave, but Chris Olave still interesting with Shaheed moving. DK Metcalf, let me see, what did he have? He's had 1, 2, 3. He's had 5 games with touchdowns and only 3 games without. So that's what is Courtland Sutton at? Courtland Sutton is at 1, 2, 3, 4 games with touchdowns and 6 games without, right? So wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 6 games without touchdowns. So Metcalf hits the touchdown more so than Courtland so far. So there is that. But if you're gonna keep them both, you can keep them both, I guess. Who are they playing next week? They're playing Kansas City next week. Okay, I guess you could try to play both of them if you think it's gonna be a big scoring game. It will be at Denver. Okay. If you have them both, I low-key would want to move off of Sutton. I don't know, but if you're gonna keep them and play them both, could be done, Milt. But much appreciated. Hopefully that helped you in some way. Go ahead and maybe check your opponent's rosters and see if there's anybody we're trading for. But much love and celebrations to you, Alex. How are you? Drop any last minute questions? Signing off soon. So Alex says, who should I flex with BTJ out? Bill Krosky, do not like that. Slayton, Kincaid, or Otten. For me, it's between Slayton and Otten. Just off the top, I'm sorry to say, but I'm off Bill Krosky until proven otherwise. It's just there hasn't been anything. Jaden Daniels is out. The Lions' run defense is good. If the Commanders are playing from behind, how much work is Bill really going to get, right? Slayton is a very interesting play to me because the Giants are so freaking terrible at... Here, look at this. Check this out, man. Check this out. This is why Slayton is so interesting. This is the passing defense, and look at the best matchups on the right-hand side for passing defense. On the 5th on the list is the Giants. They allow just as many yards and touchdowns as the easiest teams to pass on in the league. They allow 1.5 touchdowns per game. They allow over 200 yards passing per game. The Giants do. So, sorry, not the Giants. Oh my God. I am going ridiculous. I am so sorry. The Giants is who he is on the team of. I need to be analyzing the Bears for you. The Bears are also a good play in terms of not only yards, but even more so in the touchdown department. Because they've allowed 20 touchdowns on the year and still close to 2,000 yards. So the Bears are a good team to pass against as well. Okay. So that's why Slayton jumped to the top of my mind. And then Kincaid, I don't think he has as high of a ceiling as Slayton, and his floor is not safe, so I still would play him. Otten is interesting in the sense of there isn't much going on that team, right? In terms of pass catchers. And the Patriots can score. The Patriots' run defense is good, so they're going to have to hit them through the air. So Otten is a viable option for me as well. So the question for you would be, do you believe in Jackson Dart getting Slayton the ball more, or do you believe in Otten being used more in that particular offense? If we look back at their splits, right? So let's not just go off of nothing here. You know, Slayton is starting to get targeted. He has no touchdowns yet, which could change in this game. So I think he's a decent play, Slayton. Otten, they're coming off a bye, right? Coming off a bye. And he's not getting downfield as much, but he is getting a good amount of targets as well. I think I'm trying to talk myself into playing Slayton just because you look at what Joe Flacco and them did last week. I want a piece of that against the Bears. The Giants' running game is not anything that they could lean on. I think I'm playing Slayton. There. But if you have a feeling, play somebody else, right? Trust your gut. I'm playing Slayton. But if you said you wanted to play on, I would go. So Slayton first. But Otten close second if you have a gut feel, Alex. Hope that helps you. Drop a like if you can. Any other questions? Anybody drop any last minute questions? I'm just staying on 1 more minute longer to answer this last questions. Last questions, quick drop now before I sign off. GG Play says, do you think the Ravens can come back? 100%, man. 100%. I am in the camp that the Ravens are about to make a playoff push and may be contending, for playoffs. So I think they could beat the Vikings this week. I think they could beat the Browns, right? The Vikings is scary because they are a well-coached team, but just talent for talent, you look at position by position, and Justin Jefferson's the only one who really beats Zay Flowers out, right? Derrick Henry beats out the running backs. You look at the tight end positions, and the Ravens, got 2 solid tight ends versus Hawkinson. Zay Flowers, okay, he loses the matchup in the wide receiver. Jackson is infinitely times better than McCarthy. Both defenses are semi-okay, so I think the Ravens will win. If they win this game, which I think they will, right? The Browns and the Jets and the Bengals, or the Browns and the Jets, they should for sure be able to beat. The Bengals will be an interesting game because that's Joe Flacco's old team, but they should beat the Bengals, right? Steelers again, Bengals again, they should be able to win these games. Then it comes down to the Patriots and the Packers, which is our fantasy playoffs. So I think to get to our fantasy playoffs, the Ravens have a very solid chance to win the next 4 games, right? It is possible that they lose, but they pretty much have to win out in order to make this or get close, right? Steelers can stumble, it is possible, but to make playoffs, they have to for sure beat the Steelers out, right? And they not only do they for sure have to beat the Steelers out, they play the Steelers, right? So we know that division can be swung. So I for sure see them staying in this for the duration of the season, and I for sure see every week them playing hard until they're out of the playoffs. And Jackson is so competitive for like just think about it. This man has made it to every level of football. He wants to win a championship. He's not going to give up. You're right. He's not going to give up. So I foresee them potentially making playoffs, and being very competitive in every game moving forward. So yes, I think the Ravens can come back, and the division's not lost, right? Because they do play the Steelers twice. So if they could beat the Steelers both games, it's possible. So appreciate all the questions, guys. Hopefully you had a good one. Don't forget, there is a Europe game on Sunday. So start your lineups. Check your lineups beforehand. Thank you so much for all those who watch. Really appreciate it. I'll see you 30 minutes before the morning game on Sunday. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see y'all then. Bye-bye.